Hello everyone. Welcome to Product Next 2022, Globant's premier conference on sharing ingenious insights on building futuristic products and digital ecosystems. To embark you all in this exciting journey, I, Manisha Jaiswal,
I, Saurabh Shirpurkar.
from the product community, Globant, are hosting this conference.
Thanks, Manisha, for the introduction. During this edition of Product Next, we would be sharing a gamut of knowledge areas for building future ready products and digital ecosystems. To give a sneak peek, which is about insights on knowing the efficacious potential for outstanding product development with the latest trends, know how on building digital strategy and roadmap, understanding evolving ecosystems and their relevance. Please feel free to post all your queries in the chat window or use hashtag ProductNext2022 to post on LinkedIn. We would like to introduce Shivraj Sabre, fondly known as Shiv, who heads Globant's India's Delivery and Talent Center and focuses on the expansion of the transformational capacity at Globant in the APAC and EMEA region. One of the focus areas for Shivraj has been around readying capacity to take up digital transformation challenges. Shivraj has a wide range of experience working with niche software development setup, focusing on leading edge technologies as well as transformative digital journeys. He specializes in capacity management and business growth, organization building, delivery management, quality analysis, and control. Let me invite Shiv to share his thoughts on how Globant is engaging and helping our customers to stay relevant.
Thank you so much, Manisha and Saurabh. A very good evening to everyone, and welcome to this amazing web conference on Product Next. It's been an amazing year for all of us, where we've seen a lot of amazing talks and a lot of amazing conferences, and this really takes us to the pinnacle of all of them. So, welcome all of you to this amazing time in the evening. I really want to first congratulate all of you to really invest this time in yourself. I know you could have done so many things in your own time in this evening, and there could be 1,000 different ways where you could spend this time, but you've chosen to invest this in yourself. I will tell you very shortly why this is so important and why this is going to make a big difference in your lives. And I think just to understand what we're doing here today, it's very important to understand what has been happening to the industry. We've seen that the industry has been uh, rapidly changing from just plain outsourcing to really a very transformative nature, where we are looking to transform and looking to reinvent how the industries work altogether. I mean, look at yourselves, for example. If I were to ask most of you to introduce yourselves, if you're a BA, you would say, hey, my name is so and so. I'm a BA with 12 years of experience, say in banking or insurance or healthcare, and that has become your identity. What is happening is banking, healthcare, insurance itself is losing its identity. We're here as part of this whole reinvention culture, where Globant wants to completely relook at how these domains operate, how these domains need to be relooked at to be relevant for the next 20 years. So, this is very, very important. Staying relevant and to actually reinvent how every single industry works is very, very important. Uh, a very few small examples of how this thing is really affecting us is, uh, let's for example try and figure out which is the world's largest ad agency. You would probably think of a few names, and probably no name would come to your mind, but you would be surprised to know that Google is the biggest or the world's largest ad agency. If I were to ask you which is the world's largest media agency, Facebook is not the first name that would come to your mind, right? So things are changing very, very rapidly. This also happened to us a few years ago, when we were really building the world's first and the most, let's say, transformative digital bank in the world. I mean, along with Santander, we created one of the world's first digital banks. Mind you, this is not a bank app, but the whole bank on the app. So While we were creating this, one of the main requirements for this whole transformation was to not have anyone work on this, especially the product folks who would have ever worked on a banking industry, because for obvious reasons, because anyone who's worked in banking before would come up with the same solutions all over again. So the key to understand today is these every single domain is getting disrupted. Take banking itself. When was the last time any of you had visited a bank branch? I mean, we have these amazing bank branches all over the town, and we don't visit them except for a few. Let's say some senior citizens, somebody who's really opening a new account. No one else is visiting the bank branches. And do you believe any of the millennials will ever go to a bank branch? So things are changing very, very rapidly. So I think it's very important for all of you to understand how you'll relook at yourself. And for that, the sessions today, the whole interaction today is going to be very, very important. It may not teach you something new, but at least it'll open up your, let's say, um, thoughts to new ideas. It'll open up your mind to new ideas. And that's what is important. Start thinking what is required and how you're going to relook at the industry itself. That's very, very important. At Globant, we are also collaborating with FIFA, for example, and we're going to be sponsoring the Qatar World Cup, and we are going to be there. But at the same time, we're going to be with FIFA for the next 4 years on transforming how they engage with the players and how they engage with the audience. It was FIFA or football or cricket was really never in the last few decades a game of selling tickets. Really, the business is not about selling tickets. The business is truly about engaging your loyal fan base in a way that it creates more avenues for revenue, right? I think there's a very different way of looking how things operate these days, and that is what things are going to be very, very rapidly changing, right? So I think it's very important how we look at everything we do in the next few years. One of the few examples that I personally like is I'd been to this match with Real Madrid in Spain, and it was a dream come true where I wanted to see in Santiago Bernabeu and see the match, and I thought it would be amazing because I had seen these Real Madrid games on the TV, and it was so amazing. And when I actually went and sat in the stadium, believe me or not, but the stadium was very cramped, and I did not have a great experience there. It was a very uh, let's say sobering experience, and I really thought, well, why does it look so amazing on the TV? Because that is where the real business is. That is where the real focus of every single industry is where you see the right avenues for revenues. It's very important to understand how these industries are changing, right? I think with product and with business analysts and everything else, what is very important is how we change our mindsets. Our mindsets have been tuned to work in a certain way over the last few decades, and that needs to be changed. We are seeing that there is a huge need for transformation of not just the industries, not just the domains, but of how engineers and how product managers, business analysts think themselves. We see that there has always been this need of conformance to specifications. We come up with specifications, we say this product has to conform to this specification. Whereas what needs to now happen is how do we conform to the business needs or the real user needs? At first we used to start from the user needs, come to the specifications, and then build a product. I think it's very important to cut down the specifications now and come to a stage where we start rethinking, not just going back to the specifications, but going back to the basic need. What is the need today? Because the need has changed, the game has changed, and the skills required to be successful have to change. One of the very common examples that I keep saying to everyone in Globant is, do you believe Mr. Sunil Gavaskar will get selected in the team today? Most of the times the answer is no, and that's because the game has changed. It used to be a 5-day game, then became a 1-day game, and it's only a 4 hours game. What you see is players like Virat Kohli or Hardik Pandya who are actually so fit that you need to actually pass a yo-yo test before even you show your cricketing skills. And what it tells us is when the game has changed, the skills required to be successful have to change. So, as product engineers, product managers, as business analysts, it's going to be very important for you to understand how you move away from conforming to just specifications to how do you conform to, let's say, needs or requirements. It's very important to skip that one step and go back to the basics. And I think today is going to be that opportunity for you to start rethinking, to start reinventing how you start looking at domains, how you start looking at products. And that's very important. So I'm not going to take away a lot of your time, and I'm going to really give you back to this amazing team who's going to take you through some amazing talks today. And that's really where the real fun starts. So thank you so much for coming today, and thank you so much for investing this time in yourself. And this is going to go a long way in all your careers. Thank you so much. Welcome to this amazing web conference. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Shivraj, for sharing your thoughts. We would now like to introduce Lavanya Kumar Dagubati, who heads Globant's India Product Studio. He is a value driven product professional with experience in leading cross functional teams to plan, build, launch, and manage world class innovative products. He has extensive experience in analytics, artificial intelligence, chatbots, and digital space. We request him to kindly share his thoughts on Globant's product community and its practices in India.
Thank you, Monisha and Saurabh. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you are doing very well. Thank you for making yourself to be part of our premium conference on digital ecosystems. In the past few years, we see massive disruption in the digital space, and everybody or every company is focusing on meeting customer demands. So, welcome all to our much awaited Product Next 2022 conference, where we will acquire knowledge, or I would say comprehensive knowledge on building digital ecosystems for the future, leveraging the technologies that are emerging. In fact, we are coming to you after 3 years to share our experiences, and as well as what we do, what we built so far, and how we actually helped our customers. So our continuous endeavor to be future ready and share our diverse experiences with the product community has aspired us to organize this conference. We as an organization truly believe in staying relevant and challenging our product community to push the boundaries on Excel amidst our changing advancements in technology and behavior. So, a bit about our product community in the organization. We call our product community as Product Studio. In Globant, our product team help companies discover core user problems, define effective solutions, implement product development practices, establish product organizations, evolve product governance model, and define go-to-market strategies. In addition, our team continuously collaborates with customers and development teams to set a vision and ensure continuous solution delivery. So, in a way, our mission is defining problems to be solved to deliver the best solution, bringing technology, innovation, and experiences together into the same vision. We use people and business centered product management practices to identify user needs and craft effective measurable solutions. So today we are of 160 product evangelists in the studio, and serving 20 plus customers across the globe. And we go beyond our way, do a lot of market research, understand the competitor landscape, and provide the competitive solutions to the end customers to achieve their goals end of the day. So please do visit our careers page in the website to explore the available opportunities in the product studio. So I'll take a pause now and hand over the discussion to Manisha and Saurabh. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lavanya, for sharing your thoughts. Let's start our exciting journey of sharing ingenious insights on building futuristic products and digital ecosystems.
We have some interesting knowledge areas lined up in the conference. We will be learning about digital ecosystem strategy from our product SMEs, a panel discussion by Globant's leadership team on building a digital ecosystem leveraging AI and cloud technologies. Then we have our guest speaker to share his experience on data driven digital transformation. We also have our product SMEs talking about blockchain and Web 3.0.
Moving to our first topic, to build a digital ecosystem, an alignment with the expected business outcome is very necessary.
Yes, Manisha, in order to understand more on how to build an effective digital ecosystem, let us go ahead with our first talk by our product SMEs, Sakshi and Yashwant. Sakshi has been working towards bridging the gap between design and the product for more than 10 years. She is passionate about designing and solutioning complex problems with pragmatic and straightforward thinking. Yashwant has been working on helping businesses to build their digital ecosystems for more than 11 years. He has always been enthusiastic in creating engaging applications and customer experiences for organizations across industries. Please join me in welcoming them for the talk.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Manisha. Hello, everyone. My name is Yashwant Rathor. I am a product SME at Globant Pune. I wanted to start with thanking all of you for being here and joining our product community's premium conference, Product Next 2022. The theme of our today's conference is Ingenious Insights on building futuristic products and digital ecosystems, and we'll be sharing our thoughts and perspectives around the same. All right, so let me get started with sharing my screen. So yeah, this is how our agenda for today looks like. In the initial part of our conference, we will be talking about the basics of digital ecosystem and understand what exactly they are and focus on some of the needs and the benefits of them. Post that, we will share some of the typical challenges and things which organizations can consider before embarking on their journey of building a digital ecosystem. Post that, we will share a pragmatic approach using which you can overcome those challenges. And then lastly, my colleague Sakshi will walk us through a case study for a global client she personally worked on. And that will give us even more glimpse on building the digital ecosystems. So yeah, let's get started. Before getting too deep into digital ecosystems, let's first take a minute to understand the evolution of digital business model. So while the organizations evolve in their respective lines of businesses and focus towards building various IT solutions, many a times there remains a disconnect between these LOBs and the IT systems. And it makes it really difficult for the organizations to leverage their synergies and scale further to have full control on their offerings. Now, this becomes one of the major driving forces for organizations to start thinking of various ways using which they can scale up their businesses and at the same time maximize the customer value. So yeah, this is exactly what a digital ecosystem does. It helps organization in helping them scale further and optimize the value they come up with for their customers. So a digital ecosystem is nothing but a centralized system where all the required IT resources like your applications, your infrastructure, which includes your hardware and network, and the customer insights, they all connect together to support the business transformation. And at the same time, this ecosystem also helps the organizations to meet the evolving needs and the expectations of the customers. Additionally, how they help organizations is they help them adopt the latest technological advancements and build various automated processes around them and also help them in creating an integrated value chain to consistently grow their business. More often than not, your digital ecosystems are focused on customer first approach and they try to leverage the customer insights to further upsell, design new offerings and increase the revenue. Another important aspect of digital ecosystem is that it helps businesses to meet their service level agreements, that is their SLAs, and provide really quick fixes to their customer concerns. So yeah, let's understand it even more using the examples of the e-commerce industry. Now, whenever we interact with an e-commerce platform, be it an Amazon or a Flipkart or anything similar, we interact with various independent internal systems. Systems like a web app, a mobile app, which gives us an omni-channel experience, an inventory management system, a content management system, a logistical system, and probably a payment gateway or a recommendations engine. So yeah, what's happening behind the curtain in this e-commerce platform is that all of these systems are getting integrated in a seamless manner. And through this seamless integration only, we are getting a frictionless experience on the front end. Right from the time we start searching for a product till the time we make a choice to buy and till the time we get it delivered at our doorstep. And of course, getting the refunds if needed. So yeah, this seamless integration across all these systems makes these businesses more efficient. And when they do that, at the same time they read through our behavior, our buying pattern, the things which we like, the things which we think are fine, but we don't make the buying decision. They all keep reading through all these insights, and using these insights, businesses are able to open up new revenue streams and expand their footprints further. Another example of an organization which is doing quite a commendable job of having an integrated ecosystem is Apple Incorporation. Now, a lot of users would think that their premium products are those iPhones or MacBooks, but not really, in my opinion. Their premium offering is the unified user and lifestyle experience, which comes from the ecosystem created by its well connected products. Some people even refer it as a walled garden. And what Apple does is that it goes beyond the device centric approach and provide a wholesome customer experience by leveraging the ecosystem centric approach. And it works really well for their users. For example, you must have seen them unlocking their MacBooks using their Apple Watch. You must have seen them receiving all their iMessages into their various Apple devices, and they would start playing a music on their iPhone, and they will tap on their HomePod Mini and continue listening to that music. So this way, Apple does really a commendable job in offering an ecosystem of integrated products created by them. Not just that, Apple also invites partnerships for the external developer communities and organizations by exposing some APIs and offering various platforms like iOS or iCloud and so on. So this way they create this ecosystem and maximize the value for their consumers. Moving forward, what exactly is the need? Why should every business consider having a digital ecosystem of their own? So in the coming slide, this is exactly what we plan to talk about. The first benefit that ecosystem offers the organization is that they help organizations in remaining ahead of their competitors and make some data driven decisions. Now, when an organization operates into a digital ecosystem, it allows them to track and analyze various wide ranging data that flows through their businesses. And using this data, they can come up with new products and services which bring increased value and focus towards the end customer. Secondly, it helps them build a customer loyalty through a family of products. So yeah, we talked about Apple's example in the previous slide. The unified experience that comes with its well-connected offerings is the perfect example of how ecosystems can help organizations. Help them in what? Help them in staying connected with their customers, adding value to their lifestyle, and in return, enjoying their loyalty towards their brand. Thirdly, ecosystems helps organization in increasing their operational efficiency, lowering down the cost and minimizing the manual errors. So what ecosystem does is that it provides a platform to deliver various automated tools and controls. And these tools and controls will help them in ensuring that their businesses are optimized and used efficiently. This way, your critical business data flows are improved in a frictionless manner. Next one, digital ecosystems, yes, they help organizations in enabling future digital growth and creating new revenue streams. How do they do that? They do it through consolidation of multiple subsystem integrations and interoperability. Now, this helps organizations is not just in strengthening their existing revenue generating processes, but at the same time, it helps them in coming up with new revenue streams by creating various value added services. The last one, it helps organization in enhancing their digital quotient. So yeah, through these digital ecosystems, organizations can implement new technology in ways that were previously considered as really unmanageable and complex. And these helps them to take full advantage of cloud technology, SaaS businesses, AI, ML model, and help them explore various new things which can drive their business growth. So yeah, there are many benefits which businesses can reap out of digital ecosystems. The ones which we have mentioned here is not all of them, but still these are some of the common benefits which organizations enjoy when they have a very solid digital ecosystem. Let's see few things which should be considered by the organizations before they embark on their journey of creating a digital ecosystem. The first thing, the customer demands. They can be really, really volatile, and in the past 1 to 2 years, we have experienced it firsthand. There may be some initiatives which you think are a must have for your business, but probably in a quarter or two, they may not even remain relevant for your business. So yeah, this is one thing which businesses can and they should consider before getting into the development phase of their digital ecosystem. The ROI concerns. So yeah, these systems are complex and they can take time before they deliver you the results you thought. And what organizations need to consider is this time frame. They need to plan their investments. They need to think that there would be iterations which would require before they deliver the benefits we thought they would. So yeah, all those things businesses need to consider. They need to properly plan the investment and the funds and things like these. Lack of compatibility and interoperability. So yeah, we know that in digital ecosystems, the idea is to invite partnerships. Partnerships not just within the organization, but also from the external world. And when these external partners come and join the ecosystem, many a times there are different architectural standards in their applications. Architectural standards to save the data, to process it, to present it to the user, and so on. So yeah, this data flow is really important across all these internal and external architectures. If you are able to do that, great, nothing like it, but more often than not, difficult to achieve. Lastly, organizations need to consider various operational challenges. So when you get with, I mean, when you go to your people with this new tools and technologies, many a times you would see some pushback from some set of people. They would not like those new things. They may think that this automation tool, which you are giving it to them, this tool is going to do their job. So you need to manage that people aspect of things. Additionally, you may have to have the required skill set, the technical skill set as well as the managerial skill set to drive this program. So yeah, these are some things which, in our perspective, should be considered by the organizations before they start getting into the development phase of a digital ecosystem. So, yeah, so in the coming few slides, what exactly we plan to share is a strategy from our perspective, which, if implemented by the businesses, the chances of them coming out with a successful ecosystem gets amplified. So in our perspective, if organization do these 5 things right, their chances get amplified. So yeah, the first one in the series is about having a very clear business strategy. This is the first and the foremost thing. The organizations need to be really, really clear in terms of understanding the kind of product lines they want to go into the market with, the kind of organization they want to become, the kind of market problems they want to solve. So yeah, what we in our perspective think is that before doing anything else, the organization should first do a strategy planning phase. And in this strategy planning phase, what they can do is they can hear from their various internal departments, they can hear from the sales, they can hear from the marketing. This will give them a good idea of their customer needs and what their competition is up to. They can also run some research to understand what kind of market shifts will be happening in the times to come. They can hear from all their internal SBU leaders to understand the needs of their employees. Outward looking is important to knock out the competition, but at the same time to operate efficiently internally, these internal tool set is also important. So this is why we think that it's important to hear from the internal stakeholders also. And talking about stakeholders, all these stakeholders need to be on the same page. There shouldn't be any gap between the stakeholders. So yeah, once you hear from all those people and stakeholders, the first thing is to synthesize all those inputs and then come out with an overarching strategy. So this is the first step which we propose. Now, based on this strategy planning phase and the outputs of it, what we have to do is we have to visualize the high level components of our to be state. So on this slide, what I have tried to do is I have tried to take an example of an organization which came out with these 3 points from the strategy planning phase they did here. These 3 points are to have a very clear and yeah, very to have a very clear brand identity in the market, to have a data analytics platform. Probably they want to come up with some API related products and so on, and to have an internal product suite to run their operations efficiently. So these 3 points this organization has come out with, and on the basis of these 3 points, they have visualized the high level components of their ultimate digital ecosystem. Once you have those components visualized, you may want to identify an approach to address those things. So you may want to list down all the initiatives required to develop those components. For example, here this organization thought to have a data analytics platform. To do that data analytics platform, what they have to do, you have to list down all those initiatives like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Similarly, they wanted to have a product suite for their internal operations, what initiatives they have to do for it. This is what they document here, and so on for the third point. Now, once the business has all the initiatives listed, they may want to do a readiness assessment for each of those initiatives. For example, here, one initiative is about building the foundation of a data platform. The organization need to check if there is something which already exists and they can reuse or not. Do they have the budget to do it or not? If not, then they have to plan for it. Do they have the required skill sets to execute that initiative or not? If they have, very good, they need to manage their time. If they don't, they may want to pass on the message to the recruitment folks to get these people in the organization. And for each initiative, it is really important to identify the success criteria. Using this success criteria, after the development phase, we will measure the success. We will see whether this particular initiative is really done or not. Is it really delivering the benefits which we thought it would or not? So yeah, this exercise is to be done for every initiative which is there in the plan. And on the basis of that, we may have to do the arrangements to acquire the skill set from the market, to to monitor the funds, and yeah, basically do a overall readiness assessment and planning. Next step is to identify the priorities for all those initiatives. So you may want to put them into a roadmap. And when you are trying to put all those initiatives on the roadmap, you may consider various drivers like market dynamics, competition. You may want to prioritize thinking of various factors like what is the business value of each of those initiatives? What is the amount of effort that will go into develop those initiatives? And what is the cost of doing it, cost of even not doing it. All those things are to be considered to prioritize. Additionally, you may also have to consider some of the scheduling part. So you may think that there are various initiatives and initiative A is dependent on initiative B. You may want to put initiative B before initiative A. At the same time, there will be few initiatives which are totally independent and are a potential revenue generator for your business. Such initiatives should be put at the top of anything else. So yeah, this way you will have to come up with a roadmap and to have a phased wise launch plan. Once you have this roadmap, and by the way, this has to be a living document, so this can keep getting updated as and when needed. But yeah, you have to start with somewhere, and this is what you have to do in the beginning. Once you have this roadmap in place, then the real action starts. That's about execution. And what we very strongly think in our perspective works really well is to remain agile. Remain agile not in terms of the development, but also remaining agile in terms of having a clear strategy. So development part is clear. We all have operated sometime in the agile fashion, but from the strategy perspective, also we need to be really, really flexible. We may want to run continuous research to make sure that the problems which we are trying to solve are the real problems of the consumers. We may want to design some of our POCs and test them before putting them into the development phase. And yeah, once the things which are really validated after the testing, only they should go into the build phase. And it when there are things which are coming out of the development phase, you may want to measure them against the success criteria you identified earlier. And if they are delivering the value which you thought they would, nothing like it. But if they are not, you may want to be flexible and tweaking some of the things in your processes. So this way, overall idea is to remain really, really flexible, really, really agile in all the aspects of your operations. So yeah, just to summarize again, A, have a very clear business strategy. B, visualize your components. C, list down all the initiatives and do a readiness assessment. D, have a very clear roadmap based on various factors. And then lastly, execute in the agile fashion. With this, I'll take a pause and I'll pass it on to my colleague Sakshi for her case study. Thank you guys. Sakshi, all yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Yashwan. That was a great presentation. Hi, everyone. My name is Sakshi Tiwari. I am a part of the product team here at Globant India. So, Yashwan talked about very nicely about the hows and the whats and the whys of a digital ecosystem. Now, I will try to connect that with a real-time example that Globant was a part of, and how we helped one of our clients initiate developing their own digital ecosystem, and how I was able to be a part of it, and how the approach that we took worked in our favor, and connect back to the points and the strategy that Yashwant was talking about. Let me share my screen quickly. Okay, let's begin with a brief introduction about the client. So, if I were to introduce our client, they are a finance giant which has a huge customer base that uses their accounts and credit cards for daily shopping and daily purchases. Now, this client was using a third party application, a very successful product out there in the market, which was allowing their users to utilize all the points that they have collected over time by shopping using these credit cards, and use them in the travel space. Now, recently, the client, they acquired another business which had their own travel portal. Now, the idea kind of stemmed from there, that let's build our own website. Why rely on a third party application? So the idea was to move their existing user base from this third party application to a product that they would build on their own, using the new acquired product as our baseline. So basically, the idea was to develop a product from scratch, but also to utilize the benefits that were already there in the new acquired product, and to move away from a third party application to build their own product, which could be sold as an individual entity to other clients as well. So, if I were to put down the goals in a brief fashion, what the company had in mind, the first goal was to add new reward programs, because the existing product did not have flight or car booking available. So the idea was the flight, car, hotel, and activity reservation facility should be available on this new product that we're building. Then there should be an integration with the suppliers, where the suppliers are able to access their own data using their own platform, and they are not reliant on the customer support or the client's team support to every time access their data and their expenditure and their booking confirmations. Then to develop self-serve channel, of course, you cannot have a website without an active customer support. They had a customer support which is on call, but they wanted to expand that into building a chatbot and supporting a live agent chat. And then eventually, if the requirements are not met for the user, they would come down to calling a customer support agent. Then, of course, the technical aspects were to have better analysis so that you can keep a track of the user behavior that will help you evolve your product in future. Then data migration to enable scalability, and most importantly, having multi-device interface. The product was to be designed in a fashion where the user can use their tablets, they can use their mobiles, and they can use their laptops, and they wouldn't be confined to the number of features. It should be a seamless experience nonetheless. So keeping all of these goals in mind, this is how their initial landscape of the digital ecosystem would look like. So if I were to put all the products that they had in mind into a picture, this is how it will look. To start with, we would have a travel booking website. Then we would have end-to-end integration where the suppliers and support team can interact with the end user. And also access the data. Then have unified data platforms. Earlier, the existing product was working in different silos. Every feature was a different silo. So the idea was to build a unified data platform, which would again become a part of our ecosystem. And then the servicing channels, which I initially talked about, developing your own chatbot with a guided experience, then having a live agent chat with the user on the chatbot. And finally, if nothing works out for them, they are able to contact their customer support agents. Now, this having 3 different portals will also increase the amount of load of customer complaints or customer support that the company could take on their own. So it was very important for them that their ecosystem was heavily based on self-reliance of the user. Now, before I talk about the approach that we as a product team here at Globant took to help the client achieve these goals, I'd like to talk about the touch points that we identified. Now, this is how we started building a product. We identified the touch points of a user journey. So these are the places where we can offer improvements, we can offer a customer delight experience. So the first step is where the user actually shops using these credit cards. The second touch point is where they collect all the points by using these credit cards and shopping everywhere. Then the third point is where they visit the banks or the client's website to be able to access how many points I've collected. Then eventually, if they decide to use these points to buy travel related products, they would come to our website. They would be redirected to our website, which we were building, where they can explore all the flight reservation, hotel reservation, car and activity reservations, and make a booking for themselves. Then finally, they could pay for the selected items in the travel space. They could pay using these points that they've accumulated, or with the cash that they have, or with a combination of points and cash. And then finally, having the booking confirmed with them. Then the next step of next 5 touch points were after the booking is confirmed. So now, where are the places where we can offer them a good customer support so that their experience goes from meh to like a great, delightful experience? So the first thing is, of course, in case the booking does not go through, if there's a confirmation failure, how can we enable the user to be able to access the workflow in a fashion that they don't have to readily call up a person to see, hey, my booking didn't go through, how they can self-reliantly do that on the website itself. Then the second part is data modification. If their booking went through and 3 days later they want to change the dates or they want to modify the guest details, they should be able to do that on the website, again, without asking for help from any customer care agent. Then the third thing was, in case your confirmation is misplaced or you've lost that, how do you resend that confirmation email and message to yourself, again, without having to rely on anyone? Then fourth one was cancellation of booking. So if you've made a booking but you're willing to cancel that because of certain reason, what would be the penalty on that? Or if it would be a free cancellation, how do we inform the user about that? And finally, in case the cancellation goes through or modification goes through, there's any sort of refund or the payment that has to happen, any payment or money related concerns that we can help the user with. That was one of the main touch points that we had to look at. Now, these are all the touch points in the customer support journey where we had to like focus and pay attention while designing the entire product. Before I can talk about the strategy or the approach part, I'd like to briefly mention the high-level challenges that we face. There were many challenges faced in every sprint, of course, like any other project. But the main challenges that we saw before we even begun to develop the product, the first one being keeping the cost in check. We had no room for going beyond a budget. The budget was defined, so we cannot have unlimited people working for us or working for us for unlimited time. There was no new complexity or no new design changes that were offered because the customer base was moving from an already existing portal to this new product. We did not want to give the user a like movement shock, like, okay, what just happened? I was using this website, I knew the workflow, and everything just changed. So we had to remain in the design that was already there. We had a template set for us. Then another challenge was this product that the client base was moving away from has been there for a while. It's a huge product, it's a successful product, and they have been evolving over the years. So all the features that you see there, the complexities that you see there, were not developed overnight. So, but we had to match up most of those and develop something that could at least meet expectations in the first release, if not exceed expectation. So that was one of our major challenges. Then again, we had strict timelines. The client had an expiring contract with the third party application, and they had to move their customer the very next day. They cannot lose even an hour worth of customer transactions. So we had a very strict timeline with respect to that. And then because it was an in-house product, the client wanted to make sure it's a configurable product that is not only for my usage, but I can, modify it and sell it to different clients if they need, if there's a need. So it becomes a new revenue model for the client as well. And then finally, embracing new technology. Of course, when you're developing something from scratch, you want to make sure that your product is designed in a fashion where it meets the latest technology requirements, so that if you have to scale in future, there is no uh, issues with the technologies that are going on in the market. You shouldn't feel like, okay, it's not going to integrate well with our technology because we are following the legacy system. So we had to make everything latest and everything, for a lack of a better word, latest and a little hi-fi. So these were the execution challenges. Now, if I come onto the approach now, and I have tried to put the approach in the same pattern as Yashwant had talked about in his presentation. So we will talk about different steps that we took to take care of the approach and make sure that all the challenges that we were facing were dealt with, and we were able to provide a product that the client was looking forward to. So the first step is discovery. In discovery, the first thing was keeping costs in check, as I had already talked about. Then the no new complexity factor meant that we had no basic MVP design. So there was no true MVP. We were not making a minimum viable product. We were making a mostly viable product so that the user is not in the shock. So we had to keep that in mind. Then, as I mentioned, no true MVP part. The last part was data-driven decision. Now, because this entire product was laid out in front of us so clearly, we had to data back every decision. There was no room for guesswork. We were fully prepared to work on the features that we understood. And also, we wanted to make sure that everything had a reasoning. We could not just add a feature or remove a feature because everything was on such a tight decision. What are we keeping, what we are not keeping in that moment, in that product, in the first release, had to be backed with decision. And when you have a long list of stakeholders, that kind of becomes a little difficult. Now, next step was, how did we define our to-be state to look like? Now, configurability was huge. The client wanted a product which could be sold to different clients, and the client should have the access to be able to change the product a little, tweak it a little bit to their needs, and so that their customers can feel a little personalized when they're using the product. So configurability was huge. Scalability was huge, of course. We wanted to make a product which was great for a client with small user base or medium user base or a large user base. We should not be interrupted just because on the factors how big the user base of a given client is. So we wanted to make a scalable product. Then it should be self-serving for the user, as I've talked in the previous slides. The product should be designed in a fashion where the user is able to help themselves, make it intuitive, make it smart, and make it really fast. Then one of the most important thing was better customer support, be it through the guided chatbot or be it through the live agent chatbot or actual customer support centers. And finally, the latest technology part, which I'd already talked about. So these were the 5 factors that we had to keep in mind when we were looking at how our final product would look like. So there was no compromising on these 5 factors. Then coming on to the approach part, first and most important thing was understanding the user. We studied the user behavior from all the data analytics that we had and the user interviews that we did, and make sure that our understandings were not outdated. Understanding the user is very, very important because you need to know how the user would feel while using your product. then understanding the business model, like what is important for the client, gaining competitive advantage or generating more business, what is the user experience goal here. Like our initiative focused on understanding what were the past decisions of our client, and that helped us make sure that the decisions that we were taken were not refused upfront, so it saved us a lot of negotiation time. Then again, assess the assets. We already had a base product which was newly acquired. Instead of building everything from scratch, we wanted to reuse everything that we had. So the reusability was huge for us. So all the assets that we have, assess them and plan them into your roadmap so that you don't have to build everything from zero. Then again, training and collaboration. We had this new team built up, but we wanted to make sure that before we can start with the development, our team was well trained on all the new technology pieces that we were working on. They had some experience, and if not, then they would sit with people and pair with people, be mentored in a fashion so that we don't lose time in developing the skill set of our team. This was about the approach. If I now come to the roadmap, a few very important things that we kept in mind while laying down our roadmap were keeping smaller achievable goals. Even though like our first release was not a true MVP, we broke it down into product which had like smaller end-to-end workflows, and then we prioritized these workflows and involved the stakeholders at every step. So there was no room for a decision to go back, or there was no room for us to have to rework on something, because again, we were tight on time, we were tight on how much resources we had, so we did not have room for making huge mistakes and undoing them and then fixing them. Then finally, the design part was huge in roadmaps. Even though usually design teams are involved while the product is being designed, the mockups are being kept in place, but we made sure the design team was a part of the process throughout. So if once they have created the design, they could see how it would look in real life, and if there were any scope for improvements, they could give us suggestions, and things could be improved while we're working. After all, we are an agile system, so we want to have room for opinions at every given step. And then finally, agile development. This was very, very important. You can work all you want with however many speed you can have, much plan, but how do you know you're going in the right direction? So the first thing was defining success metrics. Like, is good velocity a good measure of success? Is the least amount of spillover a better thing? Is reduce number of calls going to call center the ultimate goal? Is like good code coverage a good sign? So every stage of development had a success metrics defined. Like for us, when we started, we focused on performance and number of service failures to make sure that we are achieving what we want to achieve, so we're going in the right direction. So we defined our success metrics very clearly at the beginning of the project. And then lastly, defining all the processes. Agile was practiced very to the T while we worked on this project. So sprint plannings, story analysis, kickoffs, working with the QAs and devs and testing coverage, the estimation, everything was laid out beforehand so that there's again no room for people to go back and get confused on what is the next step. So now this was all about the summary of the approach that we took. As you can see, this all connects back to how Yashwant had talked about strategy while discussing the slides that he covered. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope we were able to pique some interest around digital ecosystem with you guys. Again, thank you so much for joining this presentation. I hope you had fun as much as we had while putting these together.
Thank you, guys.
Indeed, it was informative and helpful for our audience to understand in depth about strategies involved in building competent digital ecosystems across industries. Thank you so much, Sakshi and Yashwant. So, Saurabh, do you know how we embark on creating an efficient digital ecosystem?
Great question, Manisha. So, to deep dive on this topic, we have a panel discussion by Globant's leadership team, which will be moderated by Darshan Salgia, our Senior Product Manager at Globant. Please join me in welcoming him and our panel members for the talk.
Thank you, Saurabh and Manisha. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Insights and Perspective Talk on building digital ecosystems, leveraging AI and cloud technologies. In this talk today, we would have our senior panel members from Globant, sharing their views and perspective on how do we effectively build this ecosystems using this technology, what is the need, how do we adopt to it, and how do we define success when we are building this digital ecosystem. Before we go there, let me quickly share my perspective and understanding on building digital ecosystem. A digital ecosystem is a distributed, adaptive, open socio-technical system with properties of self-organization, scalability, and sustainability. It enables enterprises to engage, leverage new and legacy technologies in a way to build more efficiencies, build automated processes, and continuously grow the business. It's a dynamic, interconnected network that necessitates reliable communication among its customers, partners, and different stakeholders who are leveraging these different applications to drive value for the business. It's a common platform which is there to participate for the larger audience. And let me come to why AI and cloud has become the center stage for today's disruption and why we are so excited about this topic. So, in this recent years, AI has enabled optimization of enterprise operations to make them more self resilient, real time, and efficient. I think gone are the days wherein we used to say and think what AI could do. Now we are really witnessing what AI and cloud are able to do. And especially in last 3 years, we have seen a, a shift from how the technologies used to engage the businesses and how everything has become a very different ball game when it comes to driving efficiencies. So organizations are leveraging advanced technologies like data science, machine learning, business analytics, and cloud computing to build digital ecosystem to deliver maximum business value and stay relevant for their customers. So, with this quick introduction and my perspective, let me invite panel members and quickly introduce them so that we could start conversation in this talk. I'll start with introduction of Lavanya. Lavanya Kumar Dukabati is a senior product director and heads Globant India Product Studio. He is a value-driven product professional with experience in leading cross-functional teams to plan, build, launch, and manage world-class innovative products. He has extensive experience in analytics, AI, chatbots, digital space, and whatnot. Welcome, Lavanya, to Product Next Conference. Let me now invite Avijit Datta. He is a senior technical director and is heading data and AI and blockchain studio at Globant India. He's a tech savvy industry leader with wide experience in diverse areas such as mobile, IoT, backend, data, and AI. He has proven track record of managing a fast-paced and growing business, scaling engineering teams, handling business critical and large-scale projects, and implementing innovative solutions. Welcome, Avijit, to Product Next Conference, and we're glad to
Thanks,
have
Darshan.
you here in this talk. Thank you so much for joining. Let me now invite Satish Petty. He's a senior technical director and is heading cloud practice at Globant India, an IT professional with rich experience in consulting, delivery, and pre-sales in a wide range of technologies. He's a proven leader with vast experience in managing technology, service, business, and leading software development using emerging technologies. He is skilled in building and managing large cloud service offerings and DevOps practice. Deep experience in leading and managing large-scale IT development projects and client engagements in UK, US, and the Netherlands. Welcome, Satish, to the Product Next conference. So we have our panel members here, and I'm so excited in listening to their perspective on how digital ecosystems are taking center stage, how AI and tech cloud are influencing in building this digital ecosystem. So without further ado, let me go to Lavanya to understand the need for the ecosystem. So Lavanya, why there is need for the organizations to start thinking on the lines of implementing ecosystem? What is your perspective in this particular regards?
Sure, Darshan. So, as we've already reinstated the importance of the ecosystem in the previous talk, also as we are seeing the current trend is all about bringing all offerings in one place. Thus, digital ecosystems put the organizations in a position to focus on driving business value by eliminating outdated slash legacy solutions. Also, organizations want their solutions to always be better today than they were yesterday. Organizations during the technological advancements, connected systems are necessary to improve business outcomes, streamline operations, and unify all their offerings. It also adds true value and helps organizations meet customer needs and expectations and provide fast remediation to ensure business stays on track. So not just these pointers, which shows us the need to consider implementing the digital ecosystems, but the other facts are like, helps the organizations aligning to the customers' expectations, and as well as adopting to their business lifestyle and behavior, and as well as collaborating all the departments together and understanding the need for the customers to address the pain points end of the day. So it also acts as a kind of one-stop solution in is a need of the hour. And then it also boosts the organizations to expand its operations across the region, or probably can go out of their current region to acquire more customer base. So let's take an example here. So when people look for buying a new home, they typically expect the organization to help them end to end, starting from connecting with the real estate companies, mortgage providers, insurance firms, and home inspectors are surveyors, and then legal entities, probably to some extent, like we may have to involve the movers and more. And during this ride will enable the customers to decide faster and feel more confident when choosing an option. So to go beyond this example, I think during our regular routine, we've come across majority one-stop solutions. Like the other examples, like super apps, and you have Google Product Suite, enterprise applications, social media integrations, and to that matter, we also have our Globant internal augmented applications. So I'm sure you all must be knowing about super apps, like where the organizations are coming together and going beyond their way and working on different domain industries, pulling everything together and attracting the customers. So customers will find all these offerings one place, irrespective of the category of the product, whether it's B2E or B2B or B2C. This is my perspective.
So largely, I understand now organizations are trying to maximize on a customer. Gone are the days wherein, the customer was bound to use different applications or systems from the same organizations to fulfill their needs. I think what I understand from your message, it's the one place which is providing frictionless experience to the end consumer. Is that understanding right, Lavanya?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are bringing that, we are enhancing the existing environment, and as well as addressing all the customer pain points in one place, right? And going beyond the way, right? And which could also give us flexibility in terms of like expanding our business value, or bringing business
Great.
value to that matter.
Thanks, Lavanya. I think I'll now go to Avijit and take his perspective on how data and AI has become the center stage for today's disruption, how these technologies are influencing the ecosystems and making them making every customer try their hands and see how they can be successful in kind of leveraging these technologies. So Avijit, what is your perspective on this particular scenario which is now happening?
Sure, Darshan. So I think it's a broad question, but building on what Lavanya mentioned, so business transformation, I think in this era is not a choice or a luxury. It has almost become a requirement or a necessity for competing businesses and whatnot, right? The augmentation of technologies has definitely fostered the overall, thought process about business to transform themselves digitally in a much more sustained as well as consistent manner. Not only that, I mean, if you see over this years, I mean, over the last 40 years, if you see how the business has transformed, initially it started with Web 1.0, when we were only consuming the content. We were just consumers of the content. With Web 2.0, where the entire social industry came into being, people became content creators. And now with Web 3.0, it is going to be even more decentralized. So if you see, there is a huge barrage of volume of data which is coming up. And as Lavanya was giving example of real estate, now people are not just interested in terms of what is out there. From a information perspective, they also want to have much more personalized thought process in terms of the choices they want to make, in terms of the things that they want to buy and whatnot. So automation has driven a lot in the direction of getting data and AI as the center stage. And to give you one example, if you see over the last 3 years when we were being hit by pandemic, that has in fact expedited the adoption of data and AI to huge numbers. I mean, just to quote one of the analysis done by the Stanford University, they found that the private AI investment in 2021 was totaling around $93.5 billion, which was more than double the investment in 2020. So if you see, the adoption is the only choice for businesses if they want to thrive in this competing world. And with augmentation of storage systems, processing systems, transformation systems, and of course with augmentation of cloud technology, this has become even more of a mandate for business to move forward accordingly.
Right. I think AI is not a choice. It is kind of a mandate for organizations to scale. Is definitely what I understand based on how Globant is doing on different engagements and the way you've been reflecting on the research done and the insights on how this has become so relevant. Thanks, Avi. And now I'll move to Satish. Satish, what's your perspective on how cloud ops has become the center stage for today's disruption? How is that organizations are leveraging the benefits of the platforms and practices available in order to define the ecosystem?
Yeah, thanks, Darshan. I mean, I think we can start looking at the brief history of how the whole cloud computing has evolved, right? So, organizations while building digital solutions, they always need they look for flexibility in terms of options and overall time to market, right? So the first increment, the first wave was really to rent the real estate. That gave some benefits, and after that, right, in the second wave, organizations have moved to virtualization of servers, right, where most of the services that you're looking are more configurable and user defined, right, rather than somebody doing it physically in the data center. And now we move to the cloud, right? So if you look at cloud today, there are many on-demand services that are available, right? You could actually purchase services with a click. You pay as you go. Those services are scalable. The data is scalable. You can change your options. You can choose different cloud providers, right? So there are a lot of options for enterprises to choose from, and they happen with few clicks, more or less, right? So overall, cloud provides you that ability to have faster time to market, to do things faster, and also change if it does not work, right? And in addition, right, if you put the DevOps practices, you have continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring kind of practices, which also improve the time to market and while improving the stability of the applications, right? To summarize, I think cloud and DevOps really provides you that flexibility, time to market, right? Increase the time to market for building any digital solutions, Darshan.
Thanks, Satish. I think it makes sense. Uh, the cloud practices and the platforms have really made go-to-market much more realistic, faster, and has allowed organizations to deliver value at a faster rate. So thanks for adding these inputs. Now moving to the second perspective on the key drivers which are influencing businesses to think on the digital ecosystem, and then maybe let me go to Lavanya. Lavanya, what do you think are the key drivers from a business perspective which will force you to think about building a digital ecosystem?
As I answered to your previous question regarding needs, right? So majority of the needs are going to act as a kind of key drivers as well for the organizations to start thinking in on the lines of executing or implementing the digital ecosystems. So in today's world, for a customer, it is quite imperative to get everything at one place. Does the control and centralized approach of organizations is now breaking apart, and a mindset of connecting and combining various solutions is emerging. So, in a connected ecosystem, the channel silos are being broken down, and information collected for every consumer transaction is centralized and analyzed as well. Thus, empowering companies to connect the customer needs vis-a-vis product offerings. So probably, like, if you ask me the other key drivers that are actually influencing the organizations to, to force them implement these ecosystems, like, intelligent automation and innovation, automated tools and controls for ensuring critical business data flows are improved, voice of customer is being captured and integrated. The other one, creating multiple revenue streams. So this is another key driver for the organizations to start thinking on these lines. So enabling creation of value added services and partnerships resulting to multiple revenue streams as well. So other driver is, speeding of technology adoption. So we need to adopt, like, organizations should start thinking to adopt the technological advancements to stay on top of the competition today, right? So this could help faster integrations, leading to future readiness and brings innovation, right? So as I've been speaking internally, like, innovation would definitely play a key role, because this would create a lot of impact in the organizations, and as well as customers would more acquainted to get adapted to the innovation as well. And then lastly, competition and a global outlook. As I mentioned to the previous question, this could actually help us growing or expanding rapidly in the other regions and acquiring more customer base. So typically, it's a kind of, wider reach end of the day.
Thanks, Lavanya. I think businesses want them to keep growing, and I think that has necessitated everybody to kind of think beyond the boundaries and leverage innovation, as you're saying. I'll now take a perspective from Avijit. Avijit, considering the driving forces that Lavanya has mentioned, how do you think that businesses should leverage data technologies and pick up their momentum?
Sure. So I think, see, I mean, as I was talking about the business transformation journey earlier, so for any business transformation, there has to be a business strategy linked to it. Now, data definitely plays a critical role, a crucial role in terms of augmenting the business transformation journey. Uh, it all depends on what is the data maturity level, and at Globant we have an expert data maturity framework where we help our customers to not only understand what is their data maturity level, but how can they augment their data maturity level as well, right? And with the augmentation of data maturity level, they will be able to have those transformations on the business side much more faster. So it's not just about the tools and technologies that can be used to have a faster adoption on the data and AI ecosystem. It is all about understanding how the data maturity can be achieved at scale at an enterprise level. That's point number one. Understanding the quality of data which is coming in from multiple source systems, and making sure that the exact data which is required for achieving the business KPIs is already there, and can be leveraged to the further steps. Gone are those days where businesses were predominantly relying on, let's say, diagnostic and descriptive analytics, which was more in terms of the typical traditional RDBMS based systems with some data stored in rows and columns. Now your data is much more diversified, right? Like I mentioned about Web 2.0, where people are generating data. So it is not just limited to a structured data stream. Now you have much more unstructured and semi-structured data streams as well. Now, processing this data in a faster speed is definitely required for getting the valuable insights for the business. So it all depends on the priority which the business wants to make for the enterprise in terms of investment in the data and AI space, in terms of the projects. Building a platform which goes in tandem with the data strategy is going to take up the a longer term plan for an enterprise to create data products at scale. And to me, for any enterprise to be successful from a business transformation perspective, they have to create the foundation at an early stage itself.
Thanks, Avi. I think I really love the data maturity model which you're talking about. I think that's a much more wider space to talk about, but I think that that kind of helps businesses to understand where to start, and then probably I'm assuming it will help them align their data strategy in order to achieve the wider business goals which they envision to achieve in short term, long term, based on how their implementation plans are. Would that be a fair statement to make, Avi?
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. Yeah.
Thanks, thanks. And now I want to take a perspective from Satish. Any similar thoughts, Satish, which can help our audience understand the impact of cloud technologies and the momentum which they bring and the agility they bring to the businesses?
Yeah, that's right. So I think right in the answer to the previous question, we mentioned about the cloud features, right? So the cloud, by definition, by default, provides you, on-demand services, where you really need to do not need to build it, right? You can just pick and start using whenever you need, right? So that overall reduces the time to market for you, right? And then you can go ahead with your development. You can look to go to the market real fast, right? And on top of it, cloud also offers you multiple service models, right? You have an option to go for infrastructure as service or PaaS solutions, right? Depending on your current IT infrastructure, right? Depending on your business needs. So there is a lot of flexibility that's available in the cloud. And from a business perspective, right, let's say if you're trying to implement a solution, and let's say you're looking for a AI based service, and you find out that a particular model is a particular service is not optimal on cloud. You most likely, maybe you would find it on a GCP service or Azure, right? You might find some related better models. And the way the cloud solutions are built, typically they are pretty interoperable. It makes it easier. I wouldn't say it's very easy, but it makes it easier to switch between the multiple technology options, right? That brings in the agility to the business. Maybe the new model might bring in a new stream of revenue, or maybe increase the revenue on a particular stream, right? So overall, the cloud technologies provide you that momentum and agility by default. Okay. And if you look at examples, right, I can quote an example as well, Darshan, recently, right? So we have been in this business for over 7 years now. Globant, we have been building highly scalable and automated solutions for our customers, for Fortune 500 companies, right? And with this experience and expertise, we built a number of accelerators, right? In this whole journey, which actually further improve the overall momentum and agility, right, to the business. And recently for a pharmaceutical client, we could actually cut the time by 40% because of our accelerators and tools as well, right? So overall, to summarize, cloud by definition, cloud by default sort of provides you a lot of options, a lot of momentum, and and help you to make different kind of choices, Darshan.
Interestingly, right. And would also this be right to say that I think cloud platforms have enabled for the organizations to try out fast and innovate faster because there's less barrier to kind of achieving a state. I mean, there are services available, there are things available, and if you want to try out, it is far less costly in today's world, and you're much more sure about the outcome. Would that also be a fair understanding, Satish, from how these technologies are reaping benefits for the end consumers and clients?
That's true, Darshan. I think just want to add one rider there, right? It's easier to do that. It doesn't mean it is easy to do, right?
Easy.
It's much easier today, right? Yeah, but not the easiest solution. But you have a flexibility as a business. You have a lot of flexibility to play around. Okay.
Right. I mean, when I say easy, it's not easy to right do it. I think there's less barrier to doing it, but I think that skill set is something which makes it much more easier when you have the right skill mix and understanding what needs to be done. So fair statement, Satish. Thanks for adding thoughts here. Uh, Now I'll move forward and understand on the adoption of data, AI, and cloud. I think we have been speaking around the need and the drivers around it, and let's understand. More on the adaptation part of it. So again, I'll go to Lavanya to have a product insight from him first. How do you see AI, ML, and cloud technologies have been adopted by industries to build the ecosystem? Lavanya.
Right. So I think Darshan, some part of the answer is already been taken over by Avijit to the previous questions. So to me, like based on my perspective, or probably based on experience, right, data and AI have become a part of our life closely. I'm not sure how many of us have realized, we've started interacting with some sort of an AI mechanism or the applications that have leveraged these technologies today. So many industries are already riding the wave of these augmented products and services in this connected ecosystem. So these products and services let users interact seamlessly. And you might be having a question like, what sort of industries are examples I could come up with. So if I need to answer like, this question, you have banks, we have e-commerce applications today, and even the contact centers on a regular basis. Like we've been interacting with the contact centers, and when you see some problem with your e-commerce or product what you purchased from the application, or probably you have your banking product, you need some guidance, you go and interact with the call center, right? And also like we have some examples in our organization. So in terms of the banking institutions, they're already analyzing users transactions slash journeys and are able to predict their platform slash lifestyle to the maximum extent, and suggesting the offers as well. Meaning, say for example, like when you go and stand in one of these stores, not sure whether it's happening in major of the regions, but do in some regions, as soon as I go and stand in front of the stores in the mall, I just get the push notifications that are enabled, and I got to see what offers the store is actually offering. So these are implemented, taking data and AI technologies today. And other example, as I mentioned about e-commerce portals, in a few minutes of interaction, we will find our desired products listed on the screen and receive notifications as well. So as soon as you just key in some product name in the search field and leave the application, then you start receiving some notifications as well. So it actually captures your behavior and then provides some suggestions. Hey, you are looking for this product. Why don't you go and look for it? And as I mentioned about call centers, so they call centers at the world are trying to have more impactful and shorter time for resolution, as they already have the visibility of the users' interactions and are able to determine the intent of calling as well. Some of the requests are already automated. As soon as I go on the interact with the customer service executive, majority of my questions are being answered through the chatbots in a way. And application downtimes have been minimal. I would say that, thanks to the robust infrastructure availability through cloud platforms. As Satish was talking about cloud infrastructure, how this is scalable and helping the organizations to speed up their implementations and going to the market soon. And as we all witnessed, Darshan, some of our product SMEs in our community are working on our internal products, slash augmented products, right? So there are chatbots, social media integrations, and also like augmented hiring, and some part of the help desk is already being automated. We name it as augmented help desk today, right?
Thank- thanks for adding thoughts. I think digital footprints have become such an important thing in organizations that just leveraging to help you better. I think it is a win-win for both customers at certain stage and for the organization. But as it sounds so exciting, let me go back to Avijit and understand what challenges do you see when an organization is adapting to the data and AI path as an extension to their ecosystem. It sounds so exciting, but I'm sure the journey is not that easy. What is your perspective on this particular situation wherein they have to face some challenges to get there?
Sure, Darshan. So I think I'll probably start based on what Satish was mentioning. It sounds easier, but not easy. Um, I would bucket this into three different categories. First challenge, according to me, is more on the data governance and data quality aspects. For an enterprise which is managing humongous volume of data for of their customers, they have to understand what kind of data they're getting in, and in order to derive valuable business insights or actionable insights, it's imperative to make sure that the data is of accurate quality. There's a saying that it's garbage in, garbage out. So I would say 80-85% of the overall data is either unused or it is of no quality. So it's a big challenge for the enterprises to ensure that they're able to understand what is the right quality of data which they're getting from different source systems. That's one category. Second category is predominantly on the data security and data privacy space. You must have heard about GDPR and SOC2 compliance and whatnot, where the said data cannot leave the geographical premise. When we talk about globalization and the consumer is not going to be stationary; it's going to be mobile from one place to another place. Uh, Lavanya spoke about the personalization aspect of it. So when you want to create a recommendation system for a customer who's going to, let's say, a mall to purchase some items, how do you create that kind of a personalization experience to the consumer becomes a big challenge. So making sure that the PII constraints and the data security remains at the top of the priority for any enterprise. And the last category, according to me, is the life cycle of development of the machine learning and AI models. Satish talked about pay-as-you-go models on the cloud space. So yes, there is a huge augmentation in terms of no-code, low-code platforms. But I would like to highlight it's not easy to create machine learning and AI solutions. Same as that of creating a typical software development life cycle. So it goes through a develop, train, test, retrain model, and it takes inordinate amount of time to make it accurate enough so that it can start generating the recommendations as per the business needs. We are proud to create we are proud to have created an accelerator on the same lines called as MLOps accelerator, which helps organizations to create ML models, AI models, or data science models at a faster pace for their organization. Because as per a study, most of the data science projects does not go to production, and the reason is simple, that they don't have the platform to build those solutions on a consistent basis. So those will be the three categories from my side in terms of challenges.
I really understand the deep things which one would have to consider. I think going from a POC to actual live system, that journey really takes time because it has variable factors. You're dealing with larger chunks of data, and major of it, if the organization is having legacy data sets, which were not designed in the way our AI ML models will expect. That journey, I think, traversing that journey takes a little bit of time and right skill to get there is definitely a very important aspect, as you highlighted. And I think these would be some of learnings for our audience to keep in mind when they embark this journey. I mean, it may sound so exciting, and it is, but there is certain due diligence which is needed to really get you the right results. uh, Without adding much of my thoughts, let me jump to Satish and take his perspective on considering the technology is moving at a very rapid pace and there's huge advancements happening each day. How do you see Globant is addressing the cloud-based infra challenges with this new advancements in learning happening day in, day out?
Yeah, sure. So Darshan, right? Firstly, Globant is a services-based company, right? We have our own products, etc., but we are primarily a service-based company, right? So we work on cutting-edge solutions for Fortune 500 clients, right? Where we're building large scale infrastructure solutions, right? Where we need to consider enterprise concerns, enterprise best practices, security standards, etc., right? So that's really one of the key differentiators for Globant, I would say, right? Our folks, they work on cutting edge work, and that's how we stay ahead of the curve, right? When compared to other people in the market. Okay, so that's one thing, and we have been doing this for over years, right? So over 7 years, 8 years, right? We have been working on major cloud providers. We have partnerships with all the three major cloud providers: AWS, Azure, GCP. We have a number of certified professionals in this cloud, right? And which helps, which also shows that we are ahead, ahead of the curve. We stay, we keep ourselves stay relevant, we stay keep us relevant in the field, right? And we train ourselves continuously using trainings, boot camps, certifications, right? And on top of it, we also have platforms like digital accelerator labs, where we experiment with new technologies, right? New technologies, where new digital transformation problems, right? And then we try to build solutions that matter to our clients and Globant as well. And we have been successful to conceptualize and build and productionize some of the multiple, so some of the next generation solutions as well, right? So that's my take on it, Darshan.
I think Global's filled with right enthusiasm, and the direction which you've been giving on the cloud ops practice has enabled us to stay ahead of the curve and stay relevant. I think uh, this is one learning which I have had as a global from the leaders. I think leaders are just pushing everybody in the right direction, and I think staying relevant has made us fortunate enough to stay ahead in the curve. So thanks for adding those thoughts, Satish. Moving to the strategy part of it. And Lavanya, again, I'll go back to you. So, how do you build a strategy for a digital ecosystem and align the cross-functional teams? We've spoken about the need and emphasis around it, but getting a little into the execution part of it and building strategies. So, what is your take on how we could do things right in this particular space?
Great. This is a great question, Darshan, because one should definitely have a solid foundation and strategy in place to succeed further in meeting the timelines and investing the money in the right place. If we don't have a solid foundation strategy, then organizations. This is purely based on my perspective. Organizations, will not be able to meet the customers' expectations, and will be losing their footprint in the market, and lose the opportunity to stay on top of the competition. So most global companies today are now actively considering the ecosystem business model given its value proposition. It is important to have a solid foundation, as I said, in place, as a strategy can generate significant value both by growing the business and expanding its offerings. And one should keep in mind while building the strategy, meaning, some of the guidelines I would like to share based on my experience, where I built some strategies in my past. Even now, I'm building some strategies for our organization's products, right? So aligning to the organization's vision, meaning we need to, collaborate with each other and build a solid foundation strategy and vision, and collaborating with the cross-functional teams and aligning everyone thoughts to the same vision, and build the roadmaps and strategies, etc., and enabling partnerships to grow business as well. Because and end of the day, when we have a system, but how do we go ahead and launch the product? So we need to enable various partners, and even while executing the platform or implementation, we need to identify who are all can help us partnering with us in terms of the third party systems based on their capabilities, etc., and expanding the network by building family of products to stay on top of the competition. So family of products are nothing but, as I said as I said previously to the previous question, right? Super apps, like where we are all bringing various features together and offering one application, which contains various applications or products, and then allowing the customers to choose everything in one place. And also we need to do SWOT analysis and capture the market insights, like to see what sort of regions we can target, what sort of competitors we have, and what is the innovation quotient that we need to bring to the table to stay on top of the competition, etc. And building end-to-end solutions is also, key thing for us to compete others. And we should be having a kind of in a governance model internally while implementing the ecosystem or platform. We have to have some sort of a leadership team who could give us continuous feedback and monitor our deliverables in a timely manner and provide some sort of direction. And of course, yes, everyone is talking about agile methodologies. Yes, that plays a key role. Generating some sort of healthy reports, so that based on the reports, we will be able to understand where we stand today, what's the direction we need to take, etc. And on besides these, I would also say the key thing is every employee, whoever is actually trying to contribute to building the ecosystem, should come with a sort of entrepreneurial talent, meaning they should own and take the responsibility that it's my own product. I need to pay attention and bring the quality and produce the solid deliverables. So all these factors I would consider as a kind of one suite which could help us building a strategy, Darshan.
Thanks, Lavanya. I think these some factors definitely will allow an individual to craft out a strategy which is not in isolation but has a larger perspective, as you mentioned, on the broad categories to consider. I'll quickly move to Avi and understand what is his view on partnering with businesses to build a technology strategy. I mean, you already spoke about data strategy in some context, but I want to also take your reflection in terms of when you are doing discoveries or you're at the initial stage and you have to build a technology strategy. What would you suggest as an approach which could help uh, uh, do this right or more effectively?
Sure, Darshan. So I think at Globant, I'm extremely proud to mention that over this last 15, 16 odd years, building data products for for our customers, we have we have got expertise in terms of how to create a successful business strategy. So we have a service ecosystem where the business strategy is at the heart of the ecosystem, and with that business strategy, you develop a data strategy. Um, Once the data strategy is built in tandem with the business strategy, you create data platforms. Now these platforms enable the business to create long-term sustainable solutions in terms of data products, which could be AI services, which could be chatbots, which could be uh, any kind of products on the lines of data itself. So the whole thought process here is, as I was mentioning earlier as well, it is important for business to understand the potency of data, right? So sometimes the business KPIs are also constrained, and if the business is able to unleash the true potential of data, their business KPI also augment. So for a transformation journey, it is not only important to understand the diagnostic aspects of the data, it is also important to understand the prescriptive and predictive aspects of data as well, through this recommendation systems and whatnot. And through those kind of systems, the business strategy keeps on evolving. So what we say to our customers, and we work very closely with them in terms of creating the business strategy, which is in tandem with the data strategy in a consistent format, right? Which keeps on evolving. So it's not a linear progression, it is kind of a exponential progression depending on the maturity of data, in terms of quality of data and the insights what the data can bring onto the table.
Thanks, Avi. I think one of the important takeaways is, I mean, these strategies are not just done once and left for the teams to just consume. They are adaptation, and the adaptation of it is necessary based on how things are there, how dynamics are changing, and how the outcomes are. So definitely, I think that is something sometimes organizations are not able to keep a check on it. So definitely, I think that's going to be very important insight for our audience to consider. Quickly moving to Satish to take a perspective on the cloud. So, what is your perspective? As in, what do you need from business to define your implementation strategy? How is that you augment and collaborate with businesses in helping them understand what these cloud technologies could do, and probably define an implementation strategy with them?
Yeah, sure, Darshan. So firstly, I would like to reiterate what Avi and Lavanya has said, right? So, a couple of points that came in is the alignment, right? So, these all strategies cannot be developed in silos, right? So everything has to be aligned. When you look at the implementation of cloud strategy, it has to be aligned with the data platform strategy, right? With the product strategy, business strategy, right? So overall, it's very important to have alignment of these strategies with the goals, right? What exactly the business is trying to achieve, right? That's one thing. And second, I also reiterate what Avi said, that it's an iterative process, right? So it's not something that you develop once and then it just stays there. This alignment, when we talk about these alignments, we're talking about multiple stakeholders, multiple groups within an enterprise, right? It's just a highly iterative process. Coming to your specific question, Darshan, about the cloud specific strategy, right? I mean, that's just a small piece in the whole game, right? So when we look at cloud strategy and implemented strategy, we start looking at things like, what is the current state, what type of tools and technologies are there, right? What is the current financial data, right? How much you're spending on the infrastructure, right? What kind of monitoring solutions you have, what kind of security and compliance requirements you have, what is the overall operating model. And when we talk about large enterprises, there are already in-flight programs and projects, right? So that becomes a data point to arrive at the strategy, at the cloud infrastructure strategy. And also, what's the executive perspective, right? What's the overall, when I say executive perspective, some of things are already covered, right, in terms of the business strategy, goals, etc., right? And that provides a starting point to create the implementation or the cloud strategies. Really, we start from with these inputs and we work with different stakeholders in the client side, right? And to collect more information or the dependencies, etc. And then we co-create these cloud transformation plans, Darshan. Okay. So
Thanks,
that's really
Satish.
what happened. It's a very broad topic, but that's really the starting point, right? And very important here is, from my perspective, it's very important that you align and collaborate with multiple stakeholders in an enterprise, because it's not just one or two people or two vendors who are operating in this space. Usually it's pretty complex. There is a lot of collaboration and alignment that's needed to have a realistic plan.
Definitely, and these are just not a handful of things. I mean, these are large organizations requiring, demanding large infrastructure needs and practices. So definitely, as you say, these are complex systems which definitely demand more attention. And then I think every business would have a uh, ready-made or customized plan in order to excel. Uh, is that right, Satish? Am I able to summarize it right, or you
Yeah,
want to add
agree.
anything further?
No, Darshan, I think you got it. You summarized it right. Yeah.
Great, great. I think this is such an interesting topic with such a knowledgeable audience, leaders, and I could go on, but in the interest of time and constraint, maybe I'll have to stop my questions here at the moment. And I would want to thank my panel members for having such an interesting perspective. I think not only they have shown us the path, but also that experience which you kind of included in your conversation. I think that has really added a lot of value and impact, and I'm sure audience is loving it. And we definitely will keep you more engaged with more questions which we may have from the audience, and take your reflections in it. So thank you again so much for taking out time for today's conversation. It was such an interesting conversation, and we look forward for much more insights from you going forward in Global events. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lavanya, Satish, and Abhijit, for your time today.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Darshan.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Darshan, Lavanya, Satish, and Avijit for the great insights on building digital ecosystems, leveraging AI and cloud technologies. Digitization is the process of automating and transforming manual processes along with re-engineering to make them customer-centric. This transformation framework, along with data-driven strategy, can help users with their journey and avoid slip-ups.
Let me introduce our guest speaker, Harjot Singh, a digital transformation leader who has an extensive experience of over 25 years in data, analytics, and cloud. His expertise include a wide range of industries including airlines, retail, e-commerce, banking, insurance, telecom, public sector, and utilities across EMEA and APAC countries. Please join me in welcoming him for the talk.
Thanks, Saurabh and Manisha. My name is Harjot Singh, and today I will present a talk on framework for digital transformation, that how data drives the digital transformation. Let me share my screen. A little bit about myself. I'm data and digital transformation leader with over 25 years of experience across 3 continents, in mainly in APJ and EMEA region across 5 countries. I have mixed industry exposure, including banking, insurance, retail, telco, public sector, and utilities. Today, the topic of our discussion is that how data drives the digital transformation. Below is the content screen. We'll discuss that. What is the meaning of digital transformation? The overview. What is the need for digital transformation? And what are the pitfalls in driving this journey, and why a framework is required? And then in the end, couple of use cases around digital transformation. And then we will end with a question and answer session. Now, starting with the first screen, that what does digital transformation mean? So I also struggled with this question probably 5, 6 years back when I was working for Etihad Airways, that when we talk about digital transformation, what does it mean? Whether we are talking about a customer journey, whether we're talking about data. And I spoke to a couple of people, and rather most of people, they were of the opinion that, well, everybody had a different meaning of digital transformation. Some people were saying that we got a very nice app and website, so we are pretty much digital. Some people would say that, oh, our workload is working in the cloud, therefore we are digital. Our ERP is going into the cloud, we are going to the digital. So we couldn't really come to an agreement of what is the definition of a digital transformation in actual. So I came up with this definition, that reaching out to your customer base by launching the customized products with quick speed to the market. So there are a number of components around this. The first component says it's reaching out. That how do you reach out to the customer? If you look at the diagram here, reaching out is done through the omni-channel interface. Either it is through your website or through your app. And the customer base, customer is the critical criteria, that how do you reach out to your customer. And customized products means that how the customer, how you are modifying your products to suit to the customer. For example, normally give an example that, airlines have the capacity to sell a seat at a different price to the different customers based on their relationship with the customer. They know the customer better, they know the ins and outs, they know the customer preferences, they know whether it is a business class customer or economy class customer, and so they price the seat accordingly. Whereas financial sector, the banking institution or the insurance sectors, they don't have this capacity, or rather they don't want to customize the products. Now think of that. If you go to a bank for a mortgage product, the bank would say that, Mr. Singh, our mortgage rate is fixed, whether you take it or leave it. Rather than saying that, because we know you, because we know that your financial condition is better, so we can offer you therefore you are a low risk customer, therefore we can offer you a product which is very much customized to your needs. That's not happening right now, because they are not passing the benefit of being a low risk customer to the customer itself. The benefits are retained by the bank. So that's what is meant by customized product. Now, I give an example that I have an insurance for my family, where the standard insurance product is 2 adults, 2 children. And when I reached out to the insurance company saying that, guys, I have only 1 child, so would you be able to give me the benefit of insuring 3 person instead of 4? And the answer is no, because our standard product is 2 adults, 2 children. So they are not really willing to customize the product for the customer itself. And that's where I feel there is a need to do the digital transformation. And the last component is speed to market. Now, speed to market is very much described by automating the component. So I'll describe in the framework later in the presentation that how the automation drives in speed up your outreach in the market. So, and how automation, or whether it is based on machine learning or artificial intelligence algorithm, how it automates your back end processes and bring efficiency into the system. So the next slide is that what is the need of the digital transformation? I think our generation is probably one of the luckiest generations that we have seen the whole transformation happening in the last 1 decade. Now think of who are the biggest disruptors in the market. Uber, the way we hail taxi, Airbnb. I mean, had anybody thought 20 years back that we will be staying at some other's place as a guest? Now, Airbnb has changed the scenario, the way we rent the hotel rooms. Now, Netflix, it's a streaming platform. And what about WhatsApp? Now, I don't think that anybody is making an international call these days. So people are using WhatsApp. And with the voice enabled features, you can speak to your family members. All these are the biggest disruptors in the market. Now, what is happening, in the big tech? Now, imagine that Apple has got 1.5 billion loyalty customer base. Now, Apple decided to monetize its data and launch its credit card with Goldman Sachs. Now, Goldman Sachs is an investment bank. They have not been into retail banking. So this business gave a win-win proposition for Apple and Goldman Sachs, because Apple was monetizing its data, and Goldman Sachs, they were stepping into retail banking via credit card platform. Now, Apple is giving 2% cashback as well. So I don't recall any company in Australia that is giving 2% cashback, because if you work in a credit card industry, that the issuer get 2.5% back. But Apple is happy to give 2% cashback to the customer itself. Now, this card is a virtual card. It comes with your bank, with your phone. So now, despite giving 2% cash back, and despite only keeping 0.5% of profit or the transaction volume, you can't imagine that Apple is earning more than $100 billion per month, simply because their loyalty customer base is so high. Secondly, Amazon is providing loans to B2B vendors without banking license. Now, why is it without banking license? Because normally banks, they are the ones who are extending loans, but because they are not really offering customized offerings. So Amazon knows about its vendors more than the vendors themselves, to tell you the truth. They know their volumes, they know their sales, and they know their scalability. So Amazon has identified the potential from the vendors, and that's why they are extending key loans to key vendors to scale up their business. Now, in Australian market, now Qantas has launched its credit card by monetizing its loyalty customer data, and they're stepping into travel insurance business. Coles is a very big supermarket in Australia. They got a customer base of 8 million. While 8 million doesn't sound very huge as compared to India, but it is roughly 1/3 of Australia's population. Now, being a retailer, they had a loyalty customer base. By that, now utilizing that and monetizing that, Coles is stepping into the credit card and insurance business. So it's a question of not a question of if, it's a question of when. How prepared are we? There will be a huge competition in the market, and if the companies are not prepared, they will perish. When somebody talks about the companies that they were not really geared up for the digital transformation, something comes into market, the Kodak camera. Kodak was very at number one in photography industry, but they lost out to Samsung in the digital camera market. Or the Sony lost out to the streaming platforms. They were not really prepared to they were not really prepared to face the competition. So these were the examples. So that's why I say that it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when, how prepared we are. So now, next slide is this one. Slide is talking about the framework. Now, if you see that when we talk about digital transformation, there are a number of components. We are talking about customers, we are talking about products, we are talking about mobile app and website, and we are talking about back-end automation. So therefore, I thought that there is a need to design the framework to just streamline the transformation journey and put some steps in place, that this is the first step you take, this is the second step you take, this is the third step you take. So this framework, actually, I built it from based on my experience in the last 10 years and driving the digital transformation journey for airlines, or for banking, insurance, or mainly for B2C sector. So the first component of the platform, of the framework, is your data platform. So data is your key. Data is your key to drive your digital transformation. So here, what does the data give you? It gives you the single view of your customer, or your 360-degree view. It contains your loyalty database and advanced analytics and AI and ML applications you can run on top of that. The second component is the intelligent automation component. Now, automation is basically that how you streamline your operations at the back end, because that will give you the quick speed to the market. Because whenever you want to launch a new product, I mean, obviously, you would like to take advantage of the first mover, being the first mover in the industry. So therefore, this intelligent automation using, well, it's nothing but automating your campaign management, or automating your back-end operations on the basis of AI and ML criteria. And this gives you the quick speed to the market. Third component is the mobile and website. Obviously, you need an omni-channel interface to reach out to your customer. And the next component is basically the service orchestration layer, which is the most underrated component, I would suggest, because mostly we have apps or we have websites, they are not connected with the backend. So these service orchestration layer is nothing but a thin API layer where you can make use of APIs to connect your front end and back end data. So in the use case section later in the presentation, I'll show you that what are the use cases of this service orchestration layer, that how it basically combines your back end and front end data. Now, this architecture is called MAC architecture. Now, MAC is basically a modular architecture. The full form of his MAC is that microservices based, API first, and cloud native architecture. And the last but not the least component is the product redesign. Now, if you notice that most of these components on the right side of the framework are technical components, whereas product simplification and customization is mainly a business driven component, and that is existing independent of the platform. Now, based on your product drivers, or based on your drivers of your framework, or based on the drivers of your digital transformation, this product redesign will help you determine that what are the components that you need to focus in the platform on this framework. For example, whether you are building a very much customized product, so you need to build a customer genome first so that you can build a customized product. So this, in a sense, is a framework for digital transformation. And if you notice, the most of the components of these frameworks are based on your data, whether it is your data in a data lake, whether it is your CRM data, or whether it's your ERP data, etc. So all this is based on your data. That's why data is the key component in this framework. The next slide we are talking is that, I'm sure that you must have seen this meme number of times. So I just downloaded it from Wikipedia, and this is a hilarious meme, but the message it wants to convey is that why you need a framework, because there are a number of moving components in a framework that we saw in the last slide. So it's better that all these components run together in alignment with each other. Otherwise, if these components are not aligned with each other, we are bound to see such mistakes that you see in the screen. That's why I say that why we need a framework, because mistakes are expensive. So the next slide is about use cases. Now, if I go back to if you I take you back to the framework, if you look at that, now the first use case is about customer analytics as a product. So when we have a data platform, your advanced AI and ML, so that gives you a very big use case to drive customer analytics. So whether we call it as a customer genome or a customer 360 degree, it can be same name. Now if you want to do analysis on credit card, you want to do a spend analytics, you want to do a churn analytics, and so let's say that you are experiencing that a person is not using your credit card for the last 2 or 3 months, so the spend analytics will give you some methodology that how do you reach out to that customer, or how do you automate your campaigns to reach out to that customer. So that's why this is a use case for digital transformation, that it's not only about AI and ML use cases, but it helps in automating your outreach to the customer, automating your campaigns towards the customer. Obviously, the number of use cases you have is churn analytics, customer buying propensity model, behavioral patterns, sentiment analysis. All these things are based on your data platform, and automation or intelligent automation helps you reaching out to your customer base. Now the next use case is buy now pay later. I mean, it's everybody must have heard about Afterpay. Now Afterpay was a Australian based startup, and I think it was sold to Square at 25 billion evaluations. Now, what I say is that Afterpay is created a middleman in the industries. You pay some money for utilizing BNPL, and then that money is retained by that middleman. So the profit doesn't really go to the bank, or profit doesn't really go to the customer. Now, if you use this digital transformation, so this is how, and you can become a BNPL, with the help of service orchestration layer. Now this is a typical credit card statement. Let's say that if you create some symbol in here on any transaction, which you say that, do you want to convert this transaction into installments? And by the click of the button, if you say yes, then you pass a message through the service orchestration layer or through your middleware to your credit card platform, saying that please split this transaction, let's say $1,000 or $500, into 4 or 5 installments. And then you take out that transaction from your credit invoice or from credit statement, and this is how you automatically become an Afterpay. I would say that please feel free to reach out to me if you want to have some more discussion on these use cases, whether it is BNPL or customer analytics or any other use cases that you want to drive. The next slide is essentially that it's about the common mistakes in the digital transformation journey. So again, this is based on what I experienced previously, that what are the common mistakes people do in their digital transformation journey. The first mistake or first thing that you need to avoid is that not identifying the key drivers, or what are your objectives behind the digital transformation, or you simply want to say because my competition is doing it, that's why I want to do it. Now, not identifying, identifying by key drivers is that what are the objectives you want to achieve through digital transformation? Whether you want to go for a regulatory compliance like GDPR because you want to streamline your processes and data, is that your key driver? Or you want to monetize your data, like I gave an example of Qantas or Coles, that they want to monetize their data, or Apple, they wanted to monetize their data. Or you want to go for a operational efficiency. Let's say that if you are in a B2B industry where you want to automate your back-end processes. So basically, identifying your key drivers is of very high importance, because the framework or the digital transformation that we are talking about, it's more of a, you can say it's a business-led transformation rather than technology-led transformation. And based on your drivers, you will focus which component of the framework you would like to, stress upon. If your focus is on driving efficiency, probably your focus is mainly on driving on intelligent automation. If your focus is on automating the data, then probably, or customizing the product journey, then your focus is on your data platform. And if you want to do the integration, or you want to build a API based integration or modular integration, then your focus is on the service orchestration layer. So the huge focus is on identifying the driver. And if you don't identify the drivers, then means your digital transformation will not be that successful. And the second point around it is technology led versus business led. So this is I discussed previously as that the digital transformation is essentially a business led journey, business led transformation journey. Again, it comes back to the objectives or the drivers, that what is your motivation behind doing the digital transformation. Technology plays the role of an enabler. Obviously, technology component or moving to the cloud, or removing your data centers has its own cost advantages, but the real advantage is achieved when it is a business-led transformation rather than a technology-led transformation. Of course, with the business-led transformation, there is a huge component of change management as well, that we need to take lots of people along with the journey. So that's why the second point is that you need to look at this issue, that whether it is a technology-led or a business-led journey. Third point, which is often I have seen lots of people doing that, ignoring the data. Now, there is a phrase in Australia that what we call is that putting a lipstick on the pig. It's still a pig. Putting a lipstick on the pig means that you are just doing a makeup, but it's still a pig. Now, ignoring data would mean that if, let's say, that you are not actually looking at your data when it is time for digital components. And if you look at the framework, the whole framework is centered about data. If you are building an app, but it is not connecting to your backend, then this app is probably not giving that good advantage. So that's why. And then if you are ignoring data, probably you cannot know your customer better. And if you don't know your customer, you can't customize the products for them. So that's why the data is a key component in a digital transformation. The fourth one is not targeting quick wins or milestones. What does it mean? Now, digital transformation can be very long for an organization. Now, that could mean that it could take up to 2 years or 3 years to achieve the full benefits. Obviously, C-suite doesn't really have that much patience to wait for the full journey to complete and achieving the benefits. Therefore, it is important that you start targeting the quick wins or milestones throughout the journey, whether it is vacating your data center and saving some money by going to the cloud, or whether it is building a customer analytics use cases on top of your digital transformation, or any other quick wins or milestone that you can target that will help in restoring the faith in this journey. And the last but not the least is top-down versus bottom-up approach. Normally, the transformation journey is driven from the top. So it's really important that you have support from your C-suite, your CEO, your board of directors to run this journey, and that will help you in achieving the funding for that. However, the bottom up also plays a critical role in the journey adoption. Let's say that you build a very nice platform, but your middle layer or your front end executives are not using that platform. So your digital transformation will not achieve its desired objective. So therefore, it is important that even the bottom up staff is involved in this transformation journey, as well as the change management is proper, so that everybody is willing to adopt the transformation. Everybody, therefore, adoption plays a key role in your digital transformation journey. So these were the mistakes that people encounter often, and I did that. I encountered that as well. So therefore, I thought that it is important that we list those changes and see that how we can keep and focus on these mistakes. Last but not the least, I think the last but not the least is that I want to quote Stephen Hawking, who is the famous physicist of our time. And he says that our future is a race between the growing power of technology, such as AI, and the wisdom with which we use it. Now, this is an important statement, because AI and then technology with deep fake and other, kind of technology available to us. So this technology can play a havoc if we are not really careful about it. Therefore, it is important that we have an ethical framework when we talk about AI, and then when we talk about AI and data, we use data privacy properly. We keep that information safe. Therefore, it is really important that we use this data and AI or digital transformation for the benefit of human race. Well, that was the end of the presentation. Thank you for your time. Now I'll hand it over to Manisha and Saurabh. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harjot, for sharing your experience on data driven digital transformation. It was really thought provoking. Since the advent of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, one concept which has intrigued all is blockchain.
Yes, Saurabh. And now around 81 of the world's top 100 public companies by market capitalization use blockchain technology. To further go on board and know more about blockchain, let me introduce our speaker, Aman Munjal. Aman is a product SME from Globant and has vast experience in working on multiple products and services. He has been exploring blockchain technology for almost 5 years now. Please join me in welcoming him for the talk.
Thank you, Saurabh and Manisha, for this quick introduction. In this session, we are going to talk about blockchain and blockchain-based products. Before I do that, let me quickly introduce you to the agenda for this meeting. We'll start with the definition of blockchain, and then we'll jump into one of the case studies for one of the projects we have completed into blockchain. Post that, we'll talk about why we have selected blockchain, in which projects you can select blockchain, what are the benefits of blockchain. And post that, we'll jump into what is a smart contract. That is nothing one of the building blocks of blockchain-based application. Post that, we'll also talk about what are the major implementation on in blockchain right now. We'll also try to explore where are the areas where majority of the companies are working in blockchain, what are the new business models which are coming in, and last would be where do we see blockchain in next 8 to 10 years. So let me quickly start with what is blockchain. As you can see, there are three blocks which are connected to each other. That is nothing but a blockchain. Whenever there are multiple blocks which are connected to each other, is considered as a blockchain. Now, every block, as you can see, has some data. This data is nothing but it's a ledger that contains all the transactions of that data. Now, you can just go ahead and see who has sent the data, who has received the data, and what data has been sent from one person to another person in an encryption manner. Generally, there are two types of blockchains, public blockchain and private blockchain. In public blockchain, this data is public. In private blockchain, only few people can access the data who has access for that specific data. Now, with that, whenever a new block is created, as you can see, there is a reference given by the last block to the next block. That is nothing but that is called as a hash function. So whenever a new block is created, that should be connected to the next block with the help of hash functions. This helps to increase the security of the blockchain, as you cannot create a new block unless you have the reference from the last block. Now, with stating that, let's just quickly understand blockchain with its definition. Blockchain is nothing but a growing and distributed ledger of data blocks which are linked together in the chronological order. We'll also try to understand few more concepts around blockchain going further. So let me quickly start with the case study I was talking about. Let's just start with the vision of the customer. The customer was already into real estate securities business, where they were selling real estate in small parts, just like REIT. Now they were based out of USA, and they had a good customer base in USA itself. They wanted to expand their business to the whole world. To do that, they identified few challenges. Let's just look at those challenges, and then we'll try to understand how blockchain can solve those challenges going further. The very first one was real-time fund transfer. That is nothing but if I want to transfer fund from one country to another country, it is very difficult to do it in current world. We have few banks which provide these services, which take somewhere around 2 to 4 days. Whereas similarly, we have third-party application which provide these things, which have very high tax value. That means if I'm sending $100 or $100, I'll receive somewhere between $99 to $96. Because of it, the customer is already losing a lot of their investments in terms of tax itself. Otherwise, they are losing their money in terms of time. They are losing their investments in terms of time. The second challenge was documentation. Since we are talking about real estate investments, documentation plays a very important part there. Now, these documentations, if we are talking about multiple countries, these documentations should be sent from one country to another country, and then post completion of that, it will be sent again to other country. In case of corrections, it takes more than 2 months. Otherwise, it takes somewhere between 20 days to a month to complete this transaction. Because of first two challenges, the total transaction time has been increased from 20 days to a month, which could have been completed within few hours if the customer was based out of USA. Along with that, the last challenge was faced by the investors. That is nothing but if they want to liquidate their investments before the maturity time, it is not possible right now, or it is very time consuming process. For an example, if a security is supposed to mature in 24 months, now if customer wants to sell their securities due to any reason, because in within a year, it is very difficult to do it. First of all, a new investor should be found, and then again it is going to take somewhere between 2 to 4 months to complete the whole transaction once again. Now, how blockchain can solve those challenges, how we solve those challenges, before that, let's just quickly see what are the major advantages of blockchain. The very first one is high transactions. Now we are talking about the whole world doing transaction on the same platform, and we can understand there will be lakhs of transactions happening per second. Majority of the traditional technologies are not providing such thing at a very low price. Whereas when we talk about blockchain, the transaction fees is very low. At the same time, we are getting somewhere around 1 lakh transactions per second, which is very high for our platform as well. The second one is majority of the users will be checking the similar records whenever we are talking about properties. That means every record should be accessible to multiple people, and there should be access control as well. That has been easily provided by blockchain as well. The third one is enhanced trust. Now let's just try to understand how blockchain works before that. Whenever we have already seen what kind of data is there in the blockchain. Now, blockchain is generally running on millions of server at the same time. And when I'm talking about millions of server, each and every data has been replicated from one server to another server. That means if I have 100 GB of data on a server, that will be replicated to the millions of server. That means if I have to change any data, it is not possible because I'll have to go ahead and change the data on each and every server. Considering that it's a decentralized system, there is no centralized authority managing it. It is not possible with current computing power. That makes the blockchain more trustworthy and more secure. And now I'll jump into automation aspect of it. Since majority of the data has been recorded in a single ledger, that allows to automate the system very fast. Now, apart from that, there are multiple robotic kits which are available on blockchains right now. That again helps to automate the data very fast. When I talk about auditability, one of the major challenges the industry is facing right now to do the audit to get the data from multiple places. Since blockchain allows to save the data, save the whole transaction data at the same place, that increases the possibility of doing the audits very fast. Hence, the forensic audits and financial audits can be done very frequently and very fast. With stating that, let's just try to understand one of the major building blocks of blockchain. That is nothing but smart contract. Now you can see there is a smart contract which is connected to multiple web services here. Before I explain smart contract, let me just give a very important property of blockchain here. When you can see there is a smart contract that is connected to multiple services, these services are on the traditional technology. That means if I want to connect blockchain with traditional technologies, that is quite possible. We'll also try to understand how we can use blockchain as a service going further in this session. Now, when I talk about smart contract is nothing but a set of rules which will run or execute every time we are doing some transaction on blockchain based applications. That means that the decisions will not be taken by a centralized authority. They will be taken by some certain rules which are publicly available. That means there is no possibility of fraudulent activities. With that, let's just quickly understand what the solution which we have provided to our customer. As you can see, this is a flow diagram. This is a very basic flow diagram which we have created here to explain you how we have solved the problem of our customer. Before I explain you this block diagram, let me quickly explain you what are the actors in this block diagram. As you can see, there is one broker here, there is one investor, and there is one project admin. Now, when I talk about broker's work is to get new investors on this platform. They'll get some commissions for that. Whenever any investor invest in the platform, they'll get certain commissions out of it. Whereas investor is going to invest into multiple projects, so they can just go ahead and see the details of the projects, and then they can just start investing into it. Apart from that, when I talk about project admin is nothing but a person or a actor who is going to add multiple projects in this system. Now, let's just try to understand the system, how it works. As I can see, broker has invited a new investor. Investor has already seen multiple real estate investments here, and now he wants to invest in one of the project. Rather than sending money through a third party application or through a bank, they can now send money through cryptocurrencies to this platform. As we do not have any securities laws around using crypto as a currency, we'll sell all these cryptocurrencies to get the dollars. So rather than using crypto as a currency, we are using it to transfer funds from one country to another country. To abide to all the laws of USA, all these funds will be tracked and will be reported to the US securities. Now, once I have all this money, all these dollars in my wallet, they now customer can invest in any of the properties they want to. Let's just say that these funds can be sent through cryptocurrencies from few seconds to few hours. That's how we have reduced the time of the transaction. Now, the second challenge which we were facing was around the documentation. Now, when I see here that once any investor tries to invest money, it goes to smart contract. Rather than creating some documents, we are converting those real estate securities into tokens. They are nothing but crypto based tokens. The reason of having crypto based token is that they are secure and they can be used for P2P transactions as well. Now, as you can see, as soon as somebody has invested in this platform, they'll receive certain amount of tokens. For an example, if the property is worth $10,000 and we have divided them into 100 tokens, that means every token is going to have a value of $100. So if I have invested $1,000, so I'll get 10 tokens out of it. And then as soon as these tokens are minted, they will be sent to the customers or investors crypto wallet. Now with that, this transaction will be completed. The customer can hold these tokens till the maturity date. Now let's just understand what all benefits we have got from this system. The very first one is reduced transaction time and fees. As we have already discussed, now the money transaction, that is sending the money from one country to another country, can be achieved within few seconds to few hours. Along with that, the fees of blockchain is generally very very low. It is considered generally less than 0.5 to less than 0.1%. It varies from which network you are choosing for your transaction. The second one is elimination of existing documentation. Rather than having the typical documentation where we require a lot of signatures, we have taken a tokenization approach, which is more secure and can be utilized for a longer period of time. The third one is a possibility of P2P transactions. Now, since we don't have any kind of documentation, as soon as I send these coins from one account to another account, the owner of those accounts will be changed. And since we are using blockchain, it is very easy to send these coins from one account to another account, that is one wallet to another wallet, and then the transaction can be completed in an offline mode. If I talk about future, if we have a lot of properties on this platform, we can create a secondary market where where if anyone wants to sell these tokens, they can sell, and if there is anyone who wants to buy these tokens, can buy these tokens. With that, let's just try to understand what other applications are there which are existing in the blockchain world right now. The very first one is crypto payments. Now we already have discussed about how payments work. How is it beneficial in the current era? Let's just try to compare it with the existing bank technologies. As you can see, this is the existing technologies where we have a centralized ledger. In our case, we can consider it as any bank, or more of we can consider this as RBI, which is going to take all the decisions, how the transaction is going to take place, what will be the fees of the transaction, and if they want, they can stop the transactions altogether. For an example, recently we have seen in last 2 months, Chinese central bank has decided not to disperse any money to their depositor, whether they have money in their account or not. Similar decisions can be taken by any centralized authorities since they own the whole centralized ledger. How can we solve it? As we have discussed, when we talk about blockchain, every block contains the ledger. Every block has one copy of the ledger. So if one of the server has decided not to complete the transaction, it will be moved to a different server, and the transaction will be completed because every server has one copy of the ledger. This has been shown here. As you can see, every transaction will go through any ledger, and then these ledgers will be combined, and then the new block will be updated to the servers. With that, let's just try to understand what is DeFi. DeFi is nothing but a decentralized bank. Why it is called a decentralized bank? Because it runs on blockchain. It follows all the rules of blockchain as well. Let's just see what are the major use cases of this. As you have seen, we have already converted a physical asset, that is a physical security, physical building, into tokens. Now these tokens can be kept as the collateral, and some loans can be taken against it. Similarly, if somebody wants to borrow money, they can utilize the banks again. Rather than only banks lending money, here anyone can just go ahead and lend money. The second application is savings. Similar to banks, even here in DeFi's, you can just deposit your money and earn a good amount on your savings as well. The next one is nothing but a decentralized exchange. We have already seen the centralized exchanges. We have already seen how current banking system is a challenge. Similarly, current exchanges are also a challenge. For an example, I'll take some examples of exchanges. Uh, one of them is S&P 500. Another one is BSE. Another one is NSE in India. Now, again, the major challenges are they are owned by centralized authorities, which can change the rules very frequently, and that affects a lot of investors, and they are not part of that decision-making system. Whereas when we talk about decentralized exchanges, all the decisions are generally taken through voting. That means every investor has a part in taking the decision. Similarly, all the rules are public, so anyone can just go ahead and see the rules. Apart from that, all the transactions are generally on the public blockchains. That means you can just go ahead and check the transaction. If there is any fraudulent activity, that can be caught very easily. The next one is insurance. Today, in today's era, we are living in the world of internet, where everything is connected through IoT devices. We do not need to wait for bank to give us the insurance amount. As soon as some mishappening happens, the IoT device will send those data to the insurance companies, that is the DeFi companies, and the amount will be credited to your account immediately. The last one is nothing but a stable currencies. We have seen fluctuation in blockchain based coins very frequently. It is not possible to utilize them as a money for now, but there is a concept of stable coins where the 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 value of these coins are backed by some currency or some physical assets. For an example, there are few coins which are backed by US dollars. Similarly, there are few coins which are backed by physical gold. That means the value of those coins are going to remain stable for a longer period of time. Let me talk about the next one, that is nothing but DApp. DApp is nothing but as soon as I deploy any smart contract on blockchain and it becomes an application, that becomes a decentralized application. That means the example which we have seen for DeFi, that is nothing but a decentralized application. Let me talk about let me talk about the next one, that is nothing but a DAO. Now we see organization in this way. We have observed that organizations work where we have a centralized authority, and then there are multiple executives who are taking the decisions. Based on that, the less rest of the employees will be affected. If there are some ideas which a employee wants to throw to the top management, it becomes very difficult. Similarly, rest of the employees are not a part of not a part of decision making system. That means the decisions which are taken by these few top management will affect majority of the people or majority of the employees in the company. How can we resolve this problem? This can be resolved if we convert the organization into a decentralized organization, that is nothing but a DAO. As you can see here, every employee is connected to each other. If somebody has any idea, they can just put it in the community, and voting will be done. Based on that, the decisions can be taken. Similarly, if top management has any idea, they can put it to the community. Of course, everyone will have their own voting rights. Maybe the top management may have a bit more voting rights than rest of the employees, but everyone's voice will be heard in this case. Now, with that, let's just try to understand, these are the existing business model. Now, let's just try to understand what other business models which are possible, which we see coming into future. The very first one is nothing but token economy. We have already seen one of the examples of token economy. Now, more and more physical assets are converted into tokens going further. Along with that, we are also seeing pictures or videos are converted into tokens, and they will be sold going further. That will allow a new business to come into the market as well. Along with that, let's just talk about BaaS. Now, BaaS is nothing but blockchain as a service. The example which I have taken, we have not owned the whole blockchain. We are just utilizing some services of blockchain just to save data and retrieve data. That means if you want to create a new application on blockchain, you don't need to own the whole blockchain. There are multiple blockchains which are coming into the market, which are providing blockchain as a service going further. The next one is nothing but development platforms. Blockchain is hardly 14 years old. And when I talk about blockchain-based development or blockchain-based application, they started back in 2014. Considering that we still have a lot of room to create new development platforms, there are multiple companies working on it, and it is expected we'll have mature development platform in next 4 to 5 years. Next one is blockchain-based softwares and hardwares. There are multiple companies which feel current cell phones are not secure. They wanted to make some blockchain-based devices. There are multiple companies which have launched it right now. Along with that, there are some companies which consider that the future of internet is going to be Web 3.0. For that, they are already creating some 5G based networks which can help the decentralized web going further. The next one is nothing but blockchain based professional services. One of the examples, we have helped one company that is nothing but to build their product. That is nothing but a blockchain based professional services. Majority of the service companies are considering blockchain as a practice right now. The next one is network charge. Blockchains are not working for free. Whenever I talk about a blockchain, there is a certain tax, which is of course very less. But when I talk about blockchain, there are millions of transactions which are happening on blockchain every day. Because of it, even less than a 0.1% of tracks for every transaction is a huge amount. So that is a new business model which came into blockchain in last few years. The next one is nothing but P2P based blockchain business model. One example we have already seen again in the real estate case scenario, where if you want to sell your securities before the maturity time, you can do that. There are multiple examples of that. For an example, if I want to sell some images, I can convert into tokens and then sell it. Similarly, the videos are sold. Similarly, there are multiple intellectual properties which are converted into tokens and sold going further. The last one is how we are seeing the future of blockchain. The future of blockchain is very bright. Generally, any technologies,
When we talk about internet, took 30 to 40 years for adoption. Whereas when we talk about blockchain, it is very young in that comparison. Blockchain started before 14 years, back in 2008, 2009. So blockchain is considered as young technology. That means the adoption is yet to come. It is considered in next 5 to 10 years, the blockchain will be adopted just like internet. Internet will be in supporting role of blockchain going further, and it is considered majority of the users will be coming from web 3.0, that is nothing but a decentralized web application where the internet will be decentralized rather than having a centralized authority. Majority of the users are considered to come through gaming, that is decentralized gaming. It is expected that we'll have 300 million users by 2024. Another example we have already taken, that is there are multiple devices which have been created. uh, there's one company called Solana which is working on physical mobile device that can be used going further. There are multiple companies which are working on 5G networks, and with that, it is considered that the current market size of blockchain is somewhere around 4.9 billion, which is increases as we are talking about blockchain. And it is considered to grow with a very high percentage of 68% per annum, and it is expected to be somewhere around 67.4 billion by 2030. Please note, when I am stating that, I am not considering the value of cryptocurrencies. I am just talking about the digital assets which are created on top of blockchain. With stating that, I'll take a pause here and I'll give stage again to Saurabh and Manisha. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I would be happy to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Aman. Your expertise has helped our audience to understand and unravel the mystery behind blockchain. From offering inclusivity and empowerment, Web 3.0 is based on the concept of creating a totally decentralized ecosystem. Web 3.0 will touch every aspect of digital transformation.
Yes, Saurabh. So let us walk through the odyssey of the Web 3.0 evolution with our next speaker, Sumit Haldankar. He is a product SME from Globant who has worked across multiple products based on the driving concepts of Web 3.0, especially the metaverse, crypto space, and NFTs. Please join me in welcoming him for the talk.
All right, thank you. Thank you for introducing me, Manisha and Saurabh. Hi, all. Today, I'm going to be talking about Web3, that is framing the future, and we call it as the next big leap in the internet revolution. Right. So let's get started. And as long as I'm excited, I'm hoping this presentation is going to be fulfilled and exciting for you guys as well. As we can see on the agenda, we are going to touch base on how the internet is evolving, few basics of metaverse and its evolution. However, most importantly, we'll try to solve what exactly is Web3 and whether is it a hype or the next big thing. We'll discuss some of the interesting use cases and how do we prepare to prepare out for this new race. So without any further ado, let's get started. As you can see on the slide, we have a picture of the person who was widely known for improving industrial efficiency. His name is Frederick Winslow Taylor. And whether it was mechanical inventions or new ways of doing old things, right, innovations were the primary attribute that powered the industrial revolution. And now the industrial revolution has been called the most serious revolution in human history because of its far-reaching impact on people's daily lives. Perhaps the most unique aspect of the industrial revolution was the fusion of technology and industry. Now, Taylor was the man behind the theory principles of scientific management, and he quotes that in the past, man has been first, and in the future, the system will be and must be first. What it means is that the fourth industrial revolution, which the currently industrial revolution that we are in right now, is a technological shift affecting cultures and economies all over the globe. And the elements of this industrial revolution includes technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, quantum computing, and 3D printing. Now, there's a famous quote by Stephen Hawking. It says that we are all now connected by the internet, like neurons in a giant brain. And there's no doubt that the invention of the internet has been one of the most significant impact in the history of mankind. And we'll come to that part as we move to the later stages of this presentation. So the interesting part, we're going to talk about Web3. So what exactly is Web3? We call this as an era where the global internet is in the middle to the late innings of the innovation curve of Web 2.0. So what happened is basically back in 99, the semantic web was introduced by Tim Berners-Lee, which was an innovative and evolved version of the existing internet at that time, and where machines could actually process information and data in a human-like way. After 30 years of the emergence of the World Wide Web, Web3 now comes out as a leap forward to the open internet. And he saw this as a universal space where no one can control anything and anyone could access it at any time. So, what is semantic web, right? So, to keep it very simple, right? So, the regular web contains a lot of information, mainly text, and is now growing to include, more and more other kinds of media, sounds, speeches, music, videos, graphs, and so on. And all this information is linked, by just clicking it on a link, it will take you somewhere else. And that's why we call it as a web, right? It's sort of like a mesh. So all we have to do is we can just navigate through the web, read stuff, and search about things that using clever algorithms. But the main point here is that the web was created to be read by humans, and we have to interpret what we read, and we have to put it in the right context in order to understand it. Now, for example, if you read the name New York alone in a web page, right, you don't know if it's the name of the city or the name of the state, or it could be a country as well. You can't even know if it's a brand name called York, right? I'm just joking, but I think you got my point. So what semantic web does is it's nothing but a mesh of data that are associated in such a way that they can be easily processed by machines instead of human operators. And it can be conceived as an extended version of the existing World Wide Web. Now, if I were to quote few examples of semantic web application, there are famous companies and organizations. For example, Biogen, IDEC, they are the primary leaders in supply chain management. Then you have BBC, they are into media management. Then we have Chevron, who are the global leaders in oil and gas, right? They use semantic web for data integration. And commonly used, we have web search and e-commerce as well. But the important question is, how did we get here? How has the internet evolved through its various stages? There has been two phases of the internet till date. Web 1.0, which was basically the concept of desktop computing, and because desktop computing was adopted on a global scale, which became much more ubiquitous and mandatory, that there was an adoption of on a global scale, which led to the rise of the web browser. And this was the introduction of banner advertising and e-commerce checkout with broad consumer adoption of desktop computing at that point. Then we moved to Web 2.0. And with Web 2.0 coming into picture, we saw adoption and invention of smartphone. And obviously, Apple with the iPhone enabled the broader consumer adoption of that as a category. But what we also saw was that the operating system where Apple's iOS and Google's Android led to the rise of subscription models. There was a rise of scalable platform. And this was actually the beginning of social network streaming media, but it was all primarily rooted around the rise of mobile computing. Now, if I have to give you the difference between what Web 1.0 is, 2.0 is, and Web 3 is, so if I have to keep it very simple, Web 1.0 is a term that we basically use to describe the earliest form of the internet. And basically, Web 1 was a few people writing content and web pages for a large amount of people. So people would actually access facts, information, and content from the source. And a few elements that define Web 1.0 can include like static pages, and this is quite nostalgic because back as a kid, right, we used to surf through the web pages using dial-up connection. They used to be static pages, absolutely, like they had GIF buttons and graphics. It's a very simple HTML form, which contain elements like frames and tables. And then we come to Web 2.0, and with Web 2.0 coming into picture, the focus actually moved from a small amount of people making a large amount of content to a large amount of people making even more content. And this form of the internet emphasized ease of use, participation, interactivity, and compatibility with other devices and systems. Basically, it became all about end users experience. We had communities, collaborations, dialogue, and social media just like popped up, and is now more as an individual primary interaction with the web. And then, of course, Web 3. So Web3 comes into the picture, and we have to describe this as like read, write, execute, right? In simple terms, it's more like a CRUD operation. It is known as the future of the internet. It involves a space where people can actually operate in decentralized, almost anonymous platforms, right? This means we're going to move away from big guiding hands of tech giants like Google, Meta, and Twitter. And Web3, which we believe that it's going to be the next in the line than the later stages of Web 2.0, it's going to be an element of more decentralized web where there will be less centralized players that act either as a wall garden or gatekeeper for how you consume the content, how you interact with the creators. The idea is that you will have more control over your identity, and there could be an additional rise in privacy. There could be a much more local experience, which is an important part of what the idea of augmented reality. And this concept is going to be discussed in the coming slide of metaverse, where we will be speaking about where the users will interact in a more virtual world with each other and less of the tenants that we actually see in Web 2.0. Now, even though we are yet to witness the complete transformation of Web 3, we still have some of it where the power comes back to us. As you can also see on the slide, right, given that Web3 is going to be the next revolution, we have like all the global leaders like tech giants like Apple, Unity, IBM, Fastly, Twitter, AMD, Coinbase, you name any company, they are like heavily investing in Web3 because this is going to be the next big thing and it's promising. Now, let's quickly dive into what exactly is metaverse and its evolution. And whenever you think of this concept, the first thing that pops into your head are the scenes from the movies The Matrix or Ready Player One, or something like Tony Stark in the movie Iron Man is trying to play around with some sort of a digital blueprint in augmented way. And this all started with the vision, right? An imaginary concept and the idea of virtual world. But who started it? Back then, we had London Lab, right? The company who was behind the creation of Second Life. It was quite a popular game back then. This was founded in 1999 by Philip Rosedale, where they basically needed a software application for testing this haptic technology hardware. When I say haptic, this is commonly found in your iPhones, right? Whenever your phone vibrates, you see that haptic feedback. Or talk about your joysticks for your PlayStation, or talk about your Kinects and joysticks for your Xbox 360. Basically, the idea was where your users could socialize, participate in goal driven games, and interact in a virtual world around them. And so there are many more versions to how metaverse is defined, but to keep it very simple and easy to understand, if I were to describe metaverse, and metaverse is a combination and a seamless fusion of our physical and digital lives, right? It basically creates a unified virtual community where we can play, relax, do business, and socialize. In simple, what we're going to do is we're going to take our physical world experience and broadly move them into the elements of mixed reality, virtual reality, eventually augmented reality as well. The idea is that you will have much more experience in a virtual reality environment which are very immersive, and some of what you will be experiencing through consumer headsets, some of what you might experience with the camera on your phone. So basically what we're talking about here is now that the digital experiences which are predominantly on your mobile smartphone or on your desktop computer, they're going to bring more immersive layer than they are today. We have to understand that metaverse is right now into early stages of development, and there's no single comprehensive definition that people can actually rely on, right? But there, yes, there is a theme about how metaverse is and what it might be. The point is that there's going to be more than virtual world, and we're going to be spoiled to choice to select which world are we, going to use this. The next big question is like, how are we going to access the metaverse, right? And to fully experience the metaverse, all you need to have is an Oculus Quest 2 virtual reality headset. It comes with a graphic chips and a storage components which are directly integrated with the headset. It has got that built-in six tracking external tracking cameras without the need of any separate tracking sensors. And along with the headset, you will obviously get an Oculus Touch controller. It has got a joystick and buttons, so that you can go ahead and grab virtual objects and interact with them. Now, you might be also wondering how you can go ahead and enter and access the metaverse. Well, it's no rocket science. Individuals can just go ahead and access the metaverse by creating their own avatar. There's a famous website called Decentraland, which is basically a 3D virtual world browser-based platform. And there are many more alternatives and examples to it, such as Sandbox, or you have crypto voxels as well. But it comes with certain prerequisites, right? For example, if you want to access this platform, you'll need a laptop and a crypto wallet. And while smartphones and most computers can be used to access it, they don't have enough processing power, and it will not help you to provide you with an optimum performance. And this is one of the reasons why Meta is actually focusing on developing more hardware like the smart glasses, so users can actually go ahead and access the metaverse easily. And of course, you can just go ahead and create your own customized avatar as well. This is an interesting slide. This talks about the beginning of a new race. And to begin with, I would like to play this video.
Connection is a spark that gives our lives meaning. It drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Okay, why don't you input the data and we'll take a look together. Hey Mari, what you got for me?
To find those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
So this net. Look over here.
Challenge us with new ways of seeing.
That I think we should.
Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
最后一笔的时候，往前。
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves.
Let's take a closer look at it.
Place this here. Let's see how we go from there, okay?
This sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time. I'm gonna move it slightly, okay?
It's yours, take it.
We have 2 planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
I think if we had 330, maintaining 2800,
we'll be clear for approach.
Excellent.
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promise in the possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Slowly coming towards the thumb.
A world without boundaries.
Good job. A lot better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring
a world where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here. And here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
Every time I see this video, it literally gives me goosebumps. It's something that we have imagined this as a child, and it's turning out to be an actual reality. But most importantly, what we've seen in this video is that Microsoft, along with other companies, have joined the race, and it's now creating a digital world called the Mesh. This will basically incorporate virtual experience directly into Microsoft Teams. They say that Microsoft Mesh will be the virtual future of Microsoft Teams meetings. Microsoft initially happened to demonstrate HoloLens in a Skype call. And in this call, the technician was actually able to explain how to fix the wiring in a team type environment. Which brings to a new next question, right? How many virtual worlds are there going to be? Will there be one or more metaverses? And it's easy to say, going by the kind of investments being made, it is safe to say that we'll be spoiled to choice. There are different virtual worlds in the making right now, and Meta wants to be the biggest one. But it's not the only one in pursuit, right? As we can see, right, Apple, for instance, they are currently working on advanced virtual reality glasses. Reports say that it could revolutionize the metaverse experience. Google said to be working on innovation augmented reality device. This will have its own created, they will go ahead and create their own metaverse. Nvidia is seeking to turn its leading position in supplying the computing hardware for the metaverse into a set of software tools for creating and selling contents within virtual worlds. Then we all know Nike, right? So the top footwear brand is experimenting with metaverse technology in collaboration with Roblox, and they have actually named it as a Nike Land. And then we all know Mark Zuckerberg recently changed his company's name to Meta on October 20th, 2021, focusing on metaverse. And it was his goal from all along his company to become a metaverse company, in fact. In 2014, Facebook actually acquired Oculus, both virtual reality hardware and the platform. And in 2021, they rebranded the parent company to Meta. Then we have Disney. It's apparently creating Disney theme metaverse, and it would be an extension of Disney films and streaming services. And not just that, right? Even governments are betting into it. In 2021, the South Korean government announced creation of National Metaverse Alliance. Now, what they will do, right? They will try to bring the virtual worlds under one single umbrella, under a canopy. And then you have Barbados. Barbados seems to be like one step ahead. They actually happen to plan to set up a embassy in the metaverse, and believe it or not, the last year they actually happened to sign an agreement where they tied with a crypto-backed virtual world to set up a digital diplomatic mission. And then in the United States, the city of Santa Monica did something similar. It partnered with a metaverse company to launch a digital version of Santa Monica, where players can actually win rewards by collecting items hidden at various locations in the city, but of course, a digital version of it. Now, again, an interesting slide. This is her name is Kyra. She's the India's first virtual influencer. Now, think about an humanoid trying to endorse earphones, right? While the scenario seems entirely like a shot, from a new age sci-fi movie, it isn't. One among them is Kyra, right? And when you lay your eyes on her, you're led to believe that she's just like anyone else. And at first glance, right, she holds herself in a very strong, confident, very calm composure, right? But the more you linger, perhaps longer than a minute, it strikes you that she isn't real. This intrigue is what draws the users to virtual influencers every day. She's a virtual influencer created by Himanshu Goel and his colleagues at the influencer marketing agency that goes by the name Top Social India. And she has been creating significant buzz across social media with over 179,000 people flocking to her Instagram on daily basis. Now, coming back to the center of the conversation, Web3 and how is it going to impact on the humanity, right? So with tons of promises, opportunities, and upgrades, we are optimistic about the paradigm shift that Web3 will offer in the decade to come. And there's a lot more to Web3 that is worth knowing in the growing digital era. And it basically rests on three crucial foundations. In fact, the first one is artificial intelligence, will helps in decoding and filtering online data and offering the most relevant choices to the users. Then you have Internet of Things, which helps the interoperability layer of Web3 to connect internet to smart devices. Talk about your smart fridges, tabs, your Siri, Alexa, thermostats, anything. Then you have blockchain. A blockchain will help you in achieving the decentralized data storage, security, and collaboration that will foster faith in virtual world. Now, while Web3 will have some, will have what is interesting about Web3 is basically that it has a potential to address the most common challenges of the current internet era, such as data privacy and ownership, right? And it will basically create a new version of the creators economy. So, briefly on the bright side, it will bring more power to the people. There's going to be a lot of accountability through blockchain. You will have control over your content, and while the concept of Web3 has its merit, there are certain limitations that needs to be resolved before it starts gaining any sort of universal acceptance. Now, the next thing that we talk about is the limitations as well, right? We have the bright side, of course, we're going to have limitations as well. So since the users are going to have full control when they wish to upload, what they want to wish to upload, content, scalability is going to be one issue that needs to be coupled with issues of slow speed, in fact. And then you have accessibility. The lack of integration with modern web browsers make Web3 inaccessible to most users. And of course, there are a few more limitations, like there's going to be a less advanced device. It's going to be very difficult to handle Web3, and some of the Web 1.0 websites will be they will be absolutely incompatible. Now, having discussed the bright side and the limitations that come with Web3, it is still tremendously exciting and comes with a far greater possibilities that propels digital transformation. And 2022 is a year where Web3 actually started to manifest, and it will start having far reaching implication, which may not be easy. You have to identify your objectives, what you hope to accomplish, and you'll need to discuss this with your cybersecurity, business intelligence, to have that flexible, fluid Web3 presence that meets the need of your customer. As we move on to the next slide, we will talk about whether Web3 is all a hype, right? So before we ascertain or discuss if Web3 is all a hype or is just another bubble in the technology history, we are going to showcase 6 important characteristics that makes Web3 important and impact making change in the world of technology. Starting with immutability. Immutability is nothing but it's a ledger which is permanent, transparent, and unalterable, because any sort of transactions that you made, it cannot be altered, right? For example, smart contracts, the code is locked and verifiable. Then we talk about decentralization, right? Instead of putting our trust in a single company that can control our data, we trust the system networks, its algorithms. Then you have remittances. It's a $1 trillion market, right? Imagine getting rid of the middlemen such as Western Union or MoneyGram, right? You can actually be able to send funds anywhere in the world in mere seconds. Then you have access to banking. There was a recent research that says, according to Global Findex, that almost 1.7 billion people on this planet are unbanked today. With Web3 coming into picture and DeFi coming into as an primary attribute, they can actually participate in a transparent financial system, right? Which that was previously inaccessible. Then you have data ownership, communities, traceability, right? With public and transparent ledgers coming to picture, Web3 will enable reliable and trusted tracing, right? It basically going to get rid of all the bad actors who are trying to cheat the system. While we talk about the characteristics, there are certain attributes and that add to the uniqueness of Web3. We have semantic web. We've discussed about that earlier as well. How it tries to adapt and learn and grow on the information which is already provided. Then you have artificial intelligence that will work basically to provide better analysis and results for people. The intelligent results basically. Then you have ubiquity, enhanced connectivity. With enhanced connectivity, right, with decentralized web and AI, they're going to drive results based on the data pattern. Then you have 3D graphics. Undoubtedly, web contents are now more graphical these days, and people love to see and share videos, images more than the plain text, right? And it's no surprise that right now the images and videos are going to be more based on augmented reality, virtual reality, and there are different apps and games which will have lifelike graphics and a bit of feel in it. Then you have peer-to-peer connectivity as well. And one of the most important feature of Web3, right? It's going to be decentralized, and it's going to dissolve the central authority. So it goes without saying that Web3 is something everyone is talking about, and it's a trend that is becoming an integral part of our everyone's life. We don't think it's a hype. We do believe it's a game changer of the internet. um, so technology is fascinating, and there are mysterious possibilities that can result people, actually particularly investors in fact, who become overly jealous of about the future of any technology or to irrational levels. This phenomena often manifests itself in the price of the assets connected to any sort of emerging technology. Now, the bigger question is this all a hype or just another bubble? And I can quote a few knowable examples that has happened in the past, right? We all know about the British bicycle mania of 1895 that lasted between 1895 to 1898. Then we have famously known dot-com bubble out of the late 1990s. Now, if I have to start comparing the fundamentals of Web 2, it's no brainer that Web 3 is gaining its momentum with its user oriented approach. So, you may agree that it has nothing to do with the hype, and if I have to underline it altogether, I should definitely say that Web3 approach is worthy enough to be called it as a mainstream. Now, as we move forward, we want to shed some light on some of the use cases that are associated with Web3. While we have ample of use cases, here we're going to emphasize and stress upon few of the knowable use cases. I can start with next-gen DApps, which is nothing but a decentralized application that uses blockchain technology, which are not owned and controlled by any centralized entity. And Web3 actually supports development that is advanced both in terms of features and its usability. Then you have advanced gaming. So Web3 games basically represents the advanced version of blockchain-based games like play to earn, NFT, play to own games, and there are primary drivers or the primary players in this particular gaming industry. You have Axie Infinity and Decentraland, right? They're the perfect examples of Web3 games. Then you have virtual real estate. The real estate industry has already transformed considerably in the advent of NFTs, blockchains, and metaverse. Now, with Web3 providing a more robust and wide ecosystem for real estate, a range of modern Web3 real estate projects have been developed that use NFTs, virtual realities, and 3D technology to verify ownership and transfer of the NFT based real estate projects, right? And likewise, we have different use cases. You have remote workplaces, you have metaverse and meta spaces, you have decentralized finance, privacy and data management, social media, remote workplaces. There's a lot to it, in fact. So, talking about what are the current success cases in the arena of metaverse, we have Fortnite, which is basically built by Epic Games. So basically, Fortnite is a survival game where there are 100 players drop into an island and they fight to be the last one, the last player. Standing as a storm closes in around them, they're forcing everyone to stop. Basically, it's a survival game. Then we have Viacom CB, which is a global media and entertainment company that creates premium content and experiences of audiences worldwide. Then you have Phoenix Lab. It's a Canadian-based video game developer company which is based in Vancouver, British Columbia. And if I have to add few more to the list, then we have Pixel. Pixel is a startup that develops awesome family mobile games. They have over like 10 million players, and one of the Pixel's best titles that has been like primarily featured on Apple iStores is the Sandbox. Then you have Decentraland. Decentraland is a 3D virtual browser-based platform where users can actually buy virtual plots of the land via NFTs. Then you have the cryptocurrencies and any form of other transactions. Then you have Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs actually made its way onto some of the way like the NBA Top Shot platform, right, where users can actually collect basketball highlights in the form of an NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? But NBA will always be the parent one who will always receive royalties on each of the transaction. Then now we have Musiverse. So what is Musiverse, right? Musiverse as a platform enables artists to crowdfund creative projects using smart contracts, right? That pay the holders of the tokens called unique digital assets. We call it the UDA. So how is Globant contributing in this space? And there are different channels and avenues, right? Some of them are such as product management, web development, backend development, blockchain, NFT development, and many other areas. Then we also have Green Park, another interesting app where Globant is actively participating and contributing in the app development in the form of a graph developers kit, mobile development, coding, and programming by using Unity C Sharp. A little bit more about this app is basically Green Park will allow the NBA fans and users to join in-app events and enter dance battles, support favorite teams, and win virtual prizes, right? So that you can also include limited editions such as your jerseys, sneakers, hats, or shoes, anything. Now most importantly, right, the most importantly, how do we join the race? And here is the most important part which I want to spend a few minutes to steer our participants to how they can get into the game of web3. We have to understand that the digital economy is spreading its roots in the metaverse as well, which is allowing people to create, buy, and sell items on the platforms. It's also interoperable according to the most utopian metaverse concepts, allowing you to move virtual things like clothing from one platform to another. And as a result, companies like OpenSea, Microsoft, Meta, Roblox, right, the Sandbox, and others are actually attempting to make metaverse a reality. Now, if you really want to get into the game of Web3, you need to understand a few fundamentals like AI, blockchain technology, 5G, gaming, various Web3 based technologies will be actually a part of your job. And the first step in considering metaverse profession is to acquire the necessary skills, right, and information. For example, if you want to work as a 3D character artist, right, then you need to have sufficient knowledge of softwares like Maya, Blender, and Cinema 4D. And of course you need to know some sort of fundamentals and extensive knowledge of cloud computing as well. And in addition, most metaverse position, especially those related to your technical streams, you need to have competitive skill sets, including knowledge of Node.js, JavaScripts, API integrations, and React.js. And once you acquire all these skills, right, you have a basic understanding how to get started, right? You can start creating your portfolios. You can start writing journals about metaverse and get it published on knowable websites so that you can start getting noticed, right? Other than the knowledgeable careers in future Web3 that resonate to what we're doing in our current capacity right now, in different capacities, in fact, such as smart contract developer, full stack developer, front end developer, token economist, you have DeFi analyst, community manager, social media manager, and marketing manager. You also have blockchain lawyer, then you will have crypto crime investigator, UI UX designer, product manager, project manager. Like so many channels and avenues, so many position that can resonate to what we're doing currently, but this is going to be mainly focusing on Web3. Now, as a fresher, if you really want to get started, I think this is a 5 simple step approach that you really need to follow, right? You can start attending online and offline meetups and conferences. You can mentor programs and events. You can start posting high value, interesting content on social media, right? You can actively participate in Discord, Telegram, Reddit, and other possible avenues who are currently exploring the Web3 projects. You can start completing some internships so that you can gain a lot of ton of practical experiences. And once you have that practical experience, you can start looking out for job opportunities, right? You have websites like web3.career, cryptocurrenciesjobs.co, and there are many other job platforms. So this is an interesting thing to start, and I think the sooner that we start, it's gonna be beneficial for us. Which brings to the end of presentation, and we thank you for participating and showing enthusiasm for knowing about Web3 and Metaverse. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the comment sections. And back to you, Manisha and Saurabh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sumit. Your thoughts were quite intuitive in understanding the next big thing, Web 3.0. Quite an insightful evening it has been. We gathered insights on strategies and guidance from industry experts on using technology and data to enable a robust digital ecosystem. We also were able to receive in depth knowledge on trending concepts of blockchain and Web 3.0.
We would like to thank you all for being such a great audience. We at Globant would also like to extend a vote of thanks to all our speakers, especially Harjot, for extending his presence for the evening. As there is an ending to all good things, similarly, we are signing off for the evening. Stay tuned for our Tech Insider Talks by following our LinkedIn page at the rate Globant India. Also, to explore career opportunities with Globant, kindly visit our career page. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now that I've lost everything to you, you say you want to start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Baby, I'm grieving, but if you want to leave, then take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember that a lot of bad everywhere. You know I've seen what the world can do, and it's breaking my heart in two. 'Cause I never want to see you a sad girl. Don't be a bad girl.
Reinvention moves the world forward, and that's what we do best.
Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world.
We are Globant, the company you probably don't know, behind many of the digital transformations you do know.
Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world.
Globant. Seek reinvention.